have been meeting pretty regularly since we began our terms in the summer, and we had a really wonderful special meeting last week with a member of the board, or sorry, a vice chancellor and associate vice chancellor talking about the USM naming policy. So thank you to all of you who came out for that really interesting and important dialogue. Thank you for that. Thank you for the about 12 of you who've already done your RSVPs for the chancellor's conversation session meetup that we're going to do tomorrow evening. If you have not yet put in your 2 students from your institution, please make sure to do that RSVP before about 5 p.m. today. The chancellor's asked us to submit all the names beforehand, and that's the time in which we are going to pass those names along for tomorrow. Both Bernetta and myself will be there, and depending on the outcome of the election for the vice president of graduate affairs, that person is also probably going to be the third continual person present at those sessions with the chancellor that we're so grateful to have. So with
Annie,
yeah.
Annie, could I jump in for just a second?
Yeah, please do.
This is Joe Hoffman. Hi, guys. I've talked to the chancellor earlier this morning, and he wants to make sure that people know that this is really a very informal discussion with the chancellor. It's not because anybody's a student leader or anything like that. He just really wants to know how individuals are doing and what you think we at System or your campuses could be doing better. He usually, when he was president at UMB, he would have 10 to 15 students over to his house for breakfast once a month on a Sunday, and he's really sorry he can't do that. So it wants to do it virtually, but this is not at all a formal meeting. It's an informal chat with the chancellor. So just wanted to make sure people understood that.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, please do.
Could I get that link sent to me again? I just looked in my email for it and I couldn't find it.
Not a problem. What I'll do is I'll just pop it into the chat. Do you have access to the chat in our Zoom? Yeah, not a problem. I'm happy to do that. So,
and you said two representatives? Sorry, you said it was 2 representatives?
Yeah, 2 for this time. We're just trying to see what that feels like if we have 2 per an institution, how it feels like size-wise, and then we'll kind of reevaluate from there, since this is, I believe, the first time he's trying to do these virtually. So we're also kind of learning. No, that's a great question, and I will pop that in as soon as I share the screen here for something else. So you all have this, but I just wanted to start with a quick overview, and we'll begin, and then we'll begin with the introductions and welcoming all the directors and so forth. So a quick overview of what we're up to today. We're going to do the introductions and welcomes. We have some general reminders and updates in addition to the Chancellor meetup tomorrow evening. We would ask that you please add your respective PR or comms person to this contact list. Our 2 co-directors for communications and marketing will be using that list to kind of cut out any additional steps or work for all of you who are already super busy as president. So it goes straight to the right person who manages your social media, your newsletters, and so forth. So this is in an effort to help you and all your institutions get all that USM information flowing both directions in a way that doesn't overburden you all as presidents. And then we have opportunities to share from the Mary Perg Student Climate Action Coalition. I am going to mostly have that be asynchronous. If folks who, I know that they've been in touch with multiple institutions on here, if that's something really key and important to you today, I would welcome you to bring that up in open forum a little bit later. We are a little bit pressed for time, which is why we don't have our guest speakers today. They'll be joining us again in October. Similarly, because of that, all of our reports are going to be written this month. I saw that 3 institutions had submitted this morning the last time I checked, so please do get that in. I really want to emphasize that this should not take up too much of your time. That report should take you tops 15 minutes, more like 10 minutes. If you find yourself poring over it and spending lots of time, it might be time for you to have a meeting with some of the execs for us to help you through something going on at your institution. That's a sign you probably want to have a chat. And then we'll move into old business, new business. we're bringing back, we're doing something called breakout sessions. It's something within our bylaws, which we think is very productive. It's where undergraduates and graduate students will break into these sessions and talk about topics you're most interested in. I'll share with you all the form, those of you who did it, so you can kind of see the agenda setting and what most people have said is important to them. We will regroup to debrief, and hopefully those conversations will help inform what committees we want to make. Then we're going to have our election for VP and an open forum. So it's a very interactive meeting today. I hope you enjoy. With that, I will stop sharing so people can see each other, and we'll do a welcome of the directors, and then we'll do a roll call to see who's here. All right.
All right.
Uh-oh, now I'm echoing. I don't know why I'm echoing. All right. So welcoming our directors, we'll get started. Okay. Does anyone know on whose end I'm echoing?
I am trying to mute folks. If I didn't mute you, please mute yourself until you want to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Because if I echo, you're all going to echo too. And that'll be hard for all of us to hear. Okay, so welcome again. Congratulations to all the directors. We had over 50 nominees for these positions. They were very competitive and selective. We did take into consideration all of you. There were 10 responses to the feedback form. So that was a big part of the review, as were the resumes and statements of interest, and also trying to get a diversity of institutions and undergraduates and graduates into the role for more representation. So to begin with, let's start with our directors of communications and marketing, Niv and Naila Benet. Are you here?
I'm here.
Yay! Congrats. Oh, hey, Naila Benet. If either of you want to share a little bit of why you're excited to have this position, or what you're looking forward to most, that would be great.
I can start. Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday. Nice to meet you all. My name is Nivedita, but I go by Niv. I am the president of the University Student Government Association at UMB, and I've been on, this is my, I would say 2.5 years on USMSC. And what I really like about this council is how we all come together and we really work to improve student representation and diversity and make sure that we all look out for each other as part of USM system. And last year I actually had this position as director of communications and I really enjoyed it. And I think this year there is so much scope for progressing and making new changes and making sure that USMSC is more united and we can progress and make a lot of good changes. So I'm really excited to work with the entire council, the exec board, and Naila Benet. I think we're going to do some great things this year. And I'm always looking to feedback. And I'm really excited that this year we'll actually be working with the PRs of the various schools. I think that's a really good change we can make. And if people have any comments, questions, criticisms throughout my appointment, our work this year, please do let us know. Feedback is how we improve. And yeah, I'll be happy to take any questions. Otherwise, thank you all for your time.
Hi, everyone. My name is Naila Benet. I'm a sophomore at UMBC, and I'm also an SJ senator. And one of the reasons that I'm really excited to be in this role is from the last USM meeting that I was a part of, I really saw that the work that you guys do behind the scenes is very important, but not a lot of UMBC students, in my perspective, or a lot of the undergraduate students really know who you guys are, know what you do, and know how important the work is. So I think that since I'm in an undergraduate, I'm an undergraduate student right now, I'm more in touch with my student population, and I can help with the social media engagement and help to get the work that you guys are doing out there so students are more engaged and more interested in what USM is all about. So very excited, and thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you both. Congratulations again. And now we'll do a brief introductions from the director, our co-directors for government relations, Yvonne and Arsalan. Yvonne, you want to get us started? Or Arsalan?
I guess I'll start then. Hi guys, everyone. My name is Arslan. I am a undergraduate student at the University of Maryland, College Park, and I will be serving as the co-director of government affairs So yeah, looking forward to working with everyone and getting to know everyone. So if you have any, questions or concerns, I'd be happy to address them now or throughout the year.
Thanks, Arsalan. Welcome to council.
Thank you.
And Yvonne, are you there? It's okay. I know that you're trying to fit us in between a lot of things. Yvonne's coming back. Yvonne was on council with us and has just switched from being an undergraduate student to graduate student at University of Baltimore. And we're very happy to have you back.
Hello, Annie.
Yeah?
Annie. Hi. So I was muted and I couldn't figure out how to unmute. So I was like, *6, *7. Sorry, I was talking the entire time. I do apologize. Hi, everyone. I'm Yvonne Harper. I'm from the University of Baltimore. I'm a graduate student. I am coming back, as mimic what Annie said, I am coming back to the council as the graduate governor relations co-director. Before I was previously University of Baltimore's student government president. So I'm happy to come back. I kind of want to focus on like the government side of things as I am in school for the Master's of Public Administration with a focus in public policy. I want to figure out ways of how we can join the governor's office as well as the council and just kind of make the university system just a better environment for the betterment of all students. So that's why I'm here.
All very good reasons. We're very happy to have both you and Arsalan. Welcome and welcome back and congrats again. And then next are co-directors of student affairs. So Dan and Benjamin. Dan, you want to get us started?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Daniel Khushkepazi. I'm currently a UB graduate student, and this is my first year on the council. Something that I really want to do as part of this position is to make sure that we are a very action and advocacy focused group, and to make sure that we pick up certain initiatives that are important for our students now in this COVID era and make sure that we advocate for them on a system-wide level.
And Benjamin?
Hi everyone, my name is Benjamin. I'm a graduate student at the UMGC, and this is my first day on the council. I'm happy to work with every one of you. I'm excited and willing to serve. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Benjamin. Welcome to council. And then last but certainly not least, we have our co-directors for diversity and inclusion, which was listed as one of the top things for all of us to work on across all the agenda setting forums. So super important to us. So who are our co-directors? We have, I'm sorry, I'm going to try. This is my first time. Tangala. Did I say that right? Are you here? I saw you earlier, but maybe you're on a different page now. But we have Tangala and Paige.
She's there. I saw her talking, but she's muted.
Oh, is she muted?
Yes.
We'll give you a second.
I can go first.
Oh, go for it, Paige. Welcome. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Paige Blake. I attend Bowie State University. I am a freshman, and I'm your undergraduate co-director of diversity and inclusion. So my goal as director, well, co-director, is to make sure that everyone feels very supported and it's comfortable at their university. And yeah, if you need anything, let me know. I am a big advocate for everyone. So I just want to make sure everybody's comfortable and very supported at their university.
Awesome. Thank you. Welcome to council, Paige. And then, of course. And then, is Tangala around? Were you able to unmute? Hello. Oh, I see you trying. Now I see you. I found you. Well, if you're able to figure it out, you cut right in and we'll let you say hi.
Yeah, it's nothing on our end this time. Oh, wait, try again.
Hey, Annie, real quick while we're waiting,
yeah.
I'll to join. There was a question posed in the chat. Well, first, I posted the link to the Chancellor's Roundtable, so you don't have to worry about it. And, the second thing, there was a question, basically, who should the PR comms persons be from each institution? I guess that would be working closely with Niv and Nyla, but I think that would apply to all of the positions, right? So that the directors know who to sort of engage with.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. This is just, yeah, this is the first one we were getting started with, but hopefully they can know the point people throughout your cabinets, if that's what you call them, or executive boards, executive committees. Typically, there's somebody there for public relations, communications, those sorts of things, and that's who you should be placing in touch with. Niv and Naila Benet, pardon me. Thank you. Thanks for monitoring the chat and getting that in there. This is a lot of multitasking, whoever decides to do this next year, but it's a lot of fun. All right. Well, again, we are just thrilled to have everyone. And now we're going to do a roll call, which will have a few new people on it, I believe, because we didn't quite have all elections set up. So we're just going to do a quick roll call to see which institutions are here. So we'll get started with Bowie State. Who is here from Bowie State Student Government Association? The undergrad. Is the undergrad? Here? I see Michael, so I know the graduate. I got you, Michael.
Association president for can
Anyone? All right. I'm going to assume maybe that person's not here.
you guys hear me?
Oh, wait. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was on mute. I am Courtney Wells, and I serve as Student Government Association president for the undergrad population at Bowie State University.
Thank you, Courtney. Welcome back.
Thank you.
All right. And then next. Coppin State. I think that's Essence.
Hi, I'm here.
Hey, Essence. Welcome back.
Hi. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. All right. Frostburg State, is Thomas or Noah here?
Hi, everybody. Thomas is here. Noah, I don't think could make it. I think he worked this morning. But I'm the governance chair on our undergrad SGA, and I'm glad to be here and working with everybody.
Welcome, Thomas. Thanks for coming. Next up, we have Salisbury University. I think I saw David. David, you here?
Yep. Good morning, everyone. I'm David McCrary, president of Salisbury University SGA.
Welcome. And is the second rep, I'm sorry, I don't remember who exactly that is the second rep from Salisbury here?
I am here for the Graduate Student Council. I'm the vice president, Cece Piles.
Welcome, Cece.
Thank you.
Great to meet you. All right, next up is, do we have Towson here? Towson?
Hi, my name is Degain. I am the president of the Student Government Association at Towson University.
Hey, Degain.
Hi, how are you?
My name is Jordan, and I'm the vice president of the Towson SGA.
Welcome, Jordan. I really enjoyed going to your all's council meeting. It was really good. All right, next up, University of Baltimore SGA. So who's, okay, cool. Awesome. Who's going to be you in the future?
Randy, and he's also on this call.
Hey, Randy.
Hey, Annie.
Thanks, y'all. Cool. And okay, next up is University of Maryland, Baltimore.
Hi, Annie. So the UMB reps couldn't make it today because by the time I got them onboarded, it was, September is 2 weeks from now. So I will be happy to talk on behalf of UMB. If I cannot vote, then I will not vote.
Understood. Noted. Thanks, Niv. All right, then we have UMBC. Who do we have from UMBC?
Hi, I'm Rashad Devon here, president of UMBC SGA.
Hey, Rashad, welcome back.
Hi, one goal. Oh, sorry.
Oh, hey, it's good to see you.
You too. Hi guys, I'm Mongoy, and I'm coordinator of neighboring relations at UMBC.
Wonderful. Thanks for being here. All right, and that brings us to UMCs. Do we have our UMCs folks here?
Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Wendell. I'm the chair of the UMC's Graduate Student Council.
And my name is Amber Fandel. I'm also on the UMC's Graduate Student Council.
Cool. And UMC's is all grads. And next up is Eastern Shore. Who do we have from Eastern Shore?
Hello, how you doing? My name is Michael Amma. I'm the SGA president for University of Maryland Eastern Shore, undergrad.
Welcome back, Michael. Is there a grad here from Eastern Shore?
I'm not sure they could make it today.
That's all right. Just gotta check. And then next up, we have universities at Shady Grove.
Hi, Annie. This is Tiffany. So I'm the president at the universities at Shady Grove for the Student Government Association. And I also have Joy on the call, who's my VP. Joy, you there?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Joy Adai, and I am the Vice President for the Student Council at USG, and I'm very happy to be here and to see everyone else.
Welcome. And that is it. Everybody, every institution has somebody here. The two institutions I did not name have opted out of being on council this year. So that is everybody for all of our active institutions, just so folks know. We won't be continually calling out Hagerstown in Southern Maryland.
Annie, did I miss College Park? Did you do College Park? And
Oh, did I miss College Park? I'm just reading off my list and I probably skipped my own school. Hey,
maybe
Dan and Dan.
UMGC too.
Oh, and thank you. Dan and Dan, are you here?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here, Annie.
Hey, Dan Albert.
Other Dan is also here.
Those are College Park folks. And then Ashley, UMGC, are you here?
Hi, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, okay, cool. And then I know we saw Anita earlier and I think I mixed up and I thought I did UMGC. But welcome, Anita. Anita's one of our new reps. Oh, you're muted, Anita. It's okay, it's Zoom world. Well, if you find it out and you want to say hi, you just shout on in. It'll be totally fine. All right, well, we have a lot of people, so it's always a really long roll call. So everyone, thank you for bearing with us. And it's great to have everyone represented. All right, next up, we are going to move into old business. And does anyone have any changes that they wanted to make for meeting minutes from either the August special meeting or from the USM naming meeting? Everybody good with all of those? In that case, I'm going to do, and my apologies, I'm still learning this phrase, unanimous consent unless somebody says no. So if you don't agree, please put it in the chat. And otherwise we're gonna let it go. And if I have a better way of phrasing that, please let me know. Then next we have updates for civic engagement. So just so all of you are aware, we have added a lot of materials onto the OneDrive. If anyone has any issues getting access to those, please let us know. We're happy to do a walkthrough with you. There is a lot in there for September 18th, which is National Voter Registration Day. So keep in mind that there's a lot of toolkits in there for you, things you can print off, use, mail in, do social media, etc. So lots of tools for you to use to make that easier. And I wanted to open it up and ask those of you who are kind of our liaisons to the civic engagement group with the USM to maybe talk about what happened at the meeting day before yesterday. So Michael or Anna, if Michael's still around, and then Anna was there too.
So far as the USMC civic engagement, what we did was we actually talked about how we can implement on our different platforms the civic engagement when it comes to voting, as well as it comes to electoral judges and things of that nature. Each campus is working on something that can actually push out the message. We're also working collaboratively. We're going to work collaboratively on building a marketing, something that's going to be presented out to statewide or maybe national wide. I know a lot of this is just getting started. So we had our first meeting and we're looking forward to having additional meetings on this. This is not going to just look at the presidential election. We're actually looking at far beyond that as well, because we need to vote in every election, state, local, and national. So that's the foundation to where we're going with our committee.
Thanks so much, Michael. And Michael, did you want to share any of the things going on at Bowie?
Sure. At Bowie State University, what we're working on is a very aggressive marketing campaign where we have built some facts about voting. We looked at historical facts to the reason why we should vote. We have been pushing that out through our newsletters. We have also partnered up with local and national organizations in order to put on to facilitate this marketing campaign as well. One of the things that we are working to do, which I did not talk about at our meeting, is on I think it's on October the 18th, is that we're trying to put together a national podcast, maybe through Facebook or Instagram, where we have leaders throughout the nation talking about the reasons why we should vote and the importance of the vote. Bowie State University Graduate Student Association has chosen to follow behind the Biden and Harris campaign, although we're looking at something that is more nonpartisan in order to get the message out, because what our goal is not to just get people on the Democratic side to vote. Our goal is to get everyone to come out to vote. So one of the campaigns that we've been working with is the 100 Black Fathers here inside of PG County. And with that campaign, we're trying to register 100 Black males to vote this semester, this term. The importance of that is that on our college campuses, after looking at the inside, on our college campuses, we noticed that there are Black males that are not voting at a higher rate as the other females are. So this is one way to combat that. So that's one of the things. Those are the things that we're doing. It's very aggressive, but we're looking for all support and help from all other universities as well.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you.
And does anyone else, I know Anna Bernetto's also at this, so if either of you have anything you want to add from that meeting to share, and then we can open up for people who want to share from their own campuses or anything else you'd like to see the system do to follow up with that conversation.
Yeah, I think Michael covered most of what we talked about at the meeting. I think it motivated some smaller institutions such as UMCs to do more with voting, and I'm working with our communications people to get some more voting information on our website. But yeah, it's a year-long committee. I think we're going to meet 4 times a year. We're going to have a weekly email digest and a website to put up what we're talking about and doing. But yeah, Bernetta, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, just, I mentioned this yesterday to the Student Advisory Council with UMGC, and we just kind of talked about how, it's important to spread the need for everyone to vote and to show everyone how they can register to vote. It's not necessarily about a particular party, but just so that everyone is exercising their rights to be able to do that. So.
Definitely. Thanks, Bernetta and Anna. So we'll open it up then to people who are also not on that separate committee and say, first of all, you're welcome to be on it. It's a more the merrier type of situation. So if you want to be on there and work on it, just let us know and we'll help you get there. What are other folks doing, or what are ways that you think the system can follow up with the civic engagement line in the most supportive way to help students register to vote and do all different sorts of engagement?
Can I say something, Annie?
Yeah, of course.
So I was also on the call the other day, and one thing that we had also spoken about was efforts across the campuses. So I was just going to say, if there are any efforts across our campuses to get students out to vote or to stress civic engagement, they're making a list of all those efforts. So if you could just email usmvotes@usmd.edu or use the hashtag USM votes on social media. Those are 2 ways that things can kind of get in that weekly email that they're going to be sending out. Really just a way to collect information on everything that's going on across our campuses. And so that was something that Dr. Shapiro had stressed. And then another more general topic that we discussed was that of recruiting election judges from our campus communities. And I know that's something that will vary depending on which county you're in and the need in that county. But it's certainly something that we can all be spreading the word about and helping students get connected to both register to vote, but then also to become election judges if they desire to do so. So I just wanted to bring attention to that. So thank you.
Of course. Thank you, Nate. And thanks for reminding me. Both
And,
regions.
and if I could add one more thing that just reminded me hearing Nate mention the election judges. Another thing that was mentioned yesterday was the need to have people count. So the election judges are more so for in-person voting, whereas there's going to be a lot of mail-in ballots this year. So they need people to help count. So you can also sign up to be a counter as well.
Very good point. Yeah. And both of you just reminded me that Mary Perg, there's so much going on surrounding this right now. So maybe the way I do it, folks can let me know. I'm trying really hard not to inundate you with emails, though it may not seem like that. There could be so much more I send. So one thought is I can send that weekly digest to everybody if it's of interest. There's just so many things going on. But another one that came to my attention is Mary Perg, which is present, I believe they told me at 8 or 9 of our institutions, is having a vote summit. I think anyone will be welcome to that. That will be on October 3rd, and the link is in the agenda if that is of interest to you. All right, and those were our topics of old business.
Yeah,
And,
Annie.
oh, yeah.
Annie, this is Joe, and I just want to plant the seed right now. I know a great deal of our focus is on voting, the election, and that part of civic responsibility. But given what's going on in California, we are actually looking to that group to help pull together some ideas about ways that our students can deal with some of the climate change issues. And we may not, I know you all are really wonderful at multitasking, but that may not be our primary focus now, but let's not forget that, because that's going to be, there may be a way that the 170,000 students in the USM may be able to do some really good messaging about climate change.
100%. And that is those resources that are linked there for the Student Climate Change Coalition from Mary Perg. They've given us some wonderful things. And if we want them to, we were just really booked today because before some things happened, we had 19 candidates for the Vice President of Government Affairs. So we really changed our agenda to account for everything we need to do for 19 candidates. And then that really slimmed down over 48 hours. So now we're down to 6 or 7 candidates, but we planned for all 19 of them. So, but if it's wanted, I'm happy to have Mary Perg. They offered to come as guests to give a short presentation of the bill that they're presenting and so forth that's related to climate change.
And Annie,
yeah.
One last thing, hearing what Joanne just mentioned, you know, UMGC is global. We have students in California. So maybe we should try to reach out to see if there's any impact there on our students.
That's a really good point. And I think, yes, I think that's true of many of the schools, actually, now that you bring it up. Like I know folks at my campus too who live in California and are near all of those fires that are going on. So I think that's a really good point. And did we hear from, I'm just checking the chat, 1 second. Did someone, okay. Yes, yes. Yes to all the things. And I think I just inadvertently answered the last question in the chat for Amber. So I'm happy. And has anybody at your campuses, have you already been working with Mary Perg student? Can somebody give us an insider scoop on that? Is anyone part of that coalition yet on the council?
Yeah, hi, this is Amber. So I am actually on the exec board for the Mary Perg Student Climate Action Coalition, and I'm excited to announce that we now have a sponsor in the Maryland General Assembly, which is really exciting. And so we're looking to get representation from all of the USM institutions, and the UMC's Graduate Student Council is going to be delivering a letter of support for that bill to the USM. So,
Amber, who?
I think
Sorry,
Joe's trying to ask who it is in the General Assembly.
Oh, it is. I had it pulled up. Give me 1 second.
That's my guess.
It is Delegate Jared Solomon
Okay.
Noted.
And I will let Patrick Hogan, our Vice Chancellor for Government Affairs, know about this, but I may have him reach out to you, Amber, so that the USM brand gets put on that in the appropriate way.
Wonderful. I look forward to speaking with you more about it. Thank you.
And hopefully then in October, Amber, unless you think it needs to be done like right now, since we have you and that's awesome. Is there anything you want to share about the bill itself with everybody now before we have Mary Purg come in October?
Sure. So it's just a lot of the USM institutions and the state of Maryland, they have already issued climate action goals for 2050. But we really feel like this is a more pressing issue, especially for the state of Maryland, as we're experiencing climate change already. So we really wanted to push, and we thought that universities were a great way to do that, as they're often the leaders of thought and action in the state. So we thought that that was a great avenue to pursue.
Agreed. Thanks, Amber. And if it's at all helpful, I'll just show really quick, or will I? Not if it doesn't allow me to. Oh, yes, it does. So you'll see, so this is our OneDrive. If you go to our council resources by topic, Climate Change Action Coalition, you'll be able to see the informative FAQ and also the bill proposal information for those of you who are interested between now and October when we hope that Mary Purg will come and do a short presentation for us. This is another area where you can get info and start talking about on your campuses and reaching out to Mary Purg too. Reach out maybe to Amber. Amber might be able to help. All right, next up. So that finishes up our old business. So new business, what we have for new business is helping us determine our new business is all of you who filled out the agenda setting. So before we head into breakout sessions for undergrads and grads, I just want to share with you all what the forum had to show us about what's most important to everybody at this time. So I know this is a really tough question, right? Like all of those topics, and one's not even listed, are incredibly important to us every day, all the time, right? So it's not so much saying you care about certain issues more than others, it's just sometimes certain issues are more timely and are more needing of what we're able to do effectively as a council to help. So I will go ahead and share my screen to show you all what came from your work. So seven folks responded to agenda setting, 3 undergrads, 4 grads, and we had a pretty good smattering across the system. So hopefully that means we have some good things going on here, a pretty good sample. And what you can see here under the ranking is very, very clear what our top 4 to 5 are on this list. So I think that this should really hopefully help the agenda setting for both of the breakout sessions. I'll be leading the graduate school student one, and Bernetta will be leading the undergraduate student one, which primarily means that will help bring up these topics and taking notes of what you all have to offer and share for these topics. So I'm gonna hover this here for just a moment so all of you can kind of read it and take it in. But what you see at the top, almost all of those folks, 71% of the folks listed COVID-19 related topics as number 1. Diversity, again, over half had it in their top 1 to 2. Civic engagement came in 3rd, and mental health came in 4th for today. So I think that those are the 4 that we're going to focus on for our breakout sessions and regrouping today. Just trying to listen to all of you. If something you feel is really missing, also keep in mind the overlaps between all of these things. Often it is said that right now we're dealing with 2 pandemics. Often the pandemic has very strong impacts both on our civic engagement and voting, but also mental health on our campuses, and our campuses are across the board in how the fall semester is shaping out. And that doesn't mean that all of us don't have different don't have different needs, whether you're doing your education remotely or on campus at this point. So I hope that that helps some. And then I'm going to ask all of you to, well, before we break out, does anyone have questions about this, or you want to add in your 2 cents before we go to a breakout? Did somebody, oh, somebody just did it. Well done, somebody. Somebody just submitted the form. Now that's some real-time action. Whoever that was pretty cool. We got to see the real-time update. COVID is still #1. All the top 4 is still the top 4. But please do look at these. I know that this was a pretty quick turnaround this time, but please know, like, we 100%, same with the director feedback forms, we go to you. Like, you are going to decide what we do this year. It's not going to be top down. It's going to be everybody collaborating on what we do. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing the form at this moment, and then ask everyone to bear with us as we are going to go into our first USMSC breakout rooms.
All right, y'all. So this is Zakia from the system office. I've sent some of you chat messages trying to figure out if you're an undergrad or grad. And as I was doing this, I figured I only have to make one breakout room and the rest of y'all can stay. So I'm sending the undergrads into a breakout room. Give me a minute to do all of the clicking I have to do. This may be a good time to run and refresh your tea or go to the restroom and then come back. I'm going to be with the undergrads. Joanne Boffman is going to stay with the grads. Send me a message in the chat if you're in the wrong place and we'll figure it out. So in about a minute or 2, you should be where you have to go, or graduate folks, you'll be in the same space. So hold tight.
I think that's a great point, and I always forget this, so somebody can always tell me that it's needed. Let's do like a 5-7 minute bio break while we're getting breakout rooms all sorted out, and we'll meet back in our rooms, whether it's this one or the breakout, in 7 minutes. So I'll see you all at 11:49.
Okay, so besides Nate, who I can tell that I need to move, Tongala, are you an undergrad or a grad student, honey? Annie, do you happen to know?
Graduate student.
Okay, all right, so she stays. Paige needs to go too. So Paige needs to move, and Nate. Let me figure out how to do that. Everybody else who's here besides Paige and Nate should be a grad student.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Now we can.
Yes. Okay, sorry. Hi. So I am a graduate student.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So you're going to stay. You're in the right place. I just need to move
Welcome.
Paige and Nate.
Thank you.
You made that happen. You really
I was
stuck.
trying. I was trying.
Well done. Well done.
Sign Nate. Bye, Nate. Nate should be leaving. And,
Bye.
and Paige should be leaving. Okay. Did I do it? Is everybody else that's here a grad student?
I believe so.
Oh, now let me see if I can go over to the other room. Joe, if I can't figure out how to send myself over, I'm going to send you and I'll stay here.
Okay.
It's all new, man. It's all new.
I know, Red Rover, send yourself over.
Can I send myself? Let's see. Now, Joe, I'm just going to send you. I don't want to mess
All
anything
right.
up. I'm sending you over.
All right.
1 second. All right, I'm with you all, Annie. Joe's gone. And if you give me a heads up, Annie, I can send a message to the other room and tell them when their time is up or time is getting close.
Yeah, time is getting close. I just have 2 minutes left.
Okay. I mean, getting close to when we want to wrap up.
Oh, when we want to wrap up.
Yes.
I thought you meant break time. I was like, oh
No,
yeah.
no.
But yeah, I didn't think that through. Breakout sessions are a good time to do the break so we can get everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that worked out pretty
Yeah,
well.
it's like we haven't been meeting long, but it's a good break point. So, all right, I think it worked
Yeah.
out okay. I'm going back on mute.
Excellent.
So you need
All
me. Let
right.
me know if you
Thank
need me.
you. Thank you for doing that. You're a rock star. Okay.
You're welcome.
It's really nice of you to help. All right. Welcome, everybody. Okay. I have my gallery on one side so I can see all of you, and I have our notes that I'll help take over here. Just to delve right in, if you want to, when you input, just remind everyone what your name is and what institution you're with, and then give your input. So let's go ahead and get started with the top issue that was named on the agenda setting form. What are on folks' minds regarding COVID-19 right now on your campuses?
Hi, Annie. I can just start and chime in my 2 cents. I'll probably chime in throughout the thing. So hi, just for everybody who needs another refresher, I'm Nivedita. Or Niv as I go by, and I'm representing UMB. I'm also a graduate student there, been in grad school forever. So I think I can give my little 2 cents. So I think with COVID, I think some people are just concerned what the plan is for the following semester. I think when we were in fall of 2020, spring of 2020, we thought, okay, it's going to be a temporary thing. And then we had to change everything for fall. And now we I'm sure there's individual schools are having something, but I think a lot of students are concerned about what spring is going to look like. And I think we're trying our best to make sure that all incoming students are feeling welcome and students who are graduating have all the necessary resources to graduate. But I think some students are curious what is the plan for next semester. And I think some students are anticipating next year's graduation also being canceled. No confirmation, obviously, something that will probably come up, be discussed next semester. But I think some students are wondering what next semester look like. It's important for students who are currently not in Maryland. Do they need to find housing? Stuff of that nature. So this is nobody's fault per se. The university administration is dealing with multiple things at the same time. But this is one thing that students are concerned about. And I think one thing which I would like to discuss maybe with the entire council at some point is how student governments are supporting their students in this environment, not in terms of just advocacy, but what are you doing for student events? That's something which we are really trying to work out at UMB. And maybe this can be an entire council thing, but how are student governments supporting their students in this current time?
Thank you so much, Niv, for getting us started off there. Those are a lot of good things, and you all are going to learn that I'm a Hutton Pecker typer. but I will slowly get everything. So does anyone have anything they want to build off of what Niv said?
I can chime in.
Go
Can you
for
hear
it.
me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I am a recent graduate from UMGC. I finished August 2020. However, I'm taking classes conjoint with UMGC and UMB now for global health management. So I see a difference as far as with UMGC is definitely the concern of graduation for recent graduates as well as fall graduates. Also upcoming spring graduates. There hasn't been any information put out per se. It's kind of just been up in the air, so they haven't notified any students as of yet. But because with UMGC, the program is fully online, it's not really too much of a worry as far as COVID. However, I noticed that with taking classes with UMB, they send a small questionnaire every morning via email for you to check off to see if you'll be on campus or not. So that's their way of keeping trace to see how many students are going to be on campus. I think that's a good idea as well.
Okay, this is Michael McGee with Bowie State. So a few things have happened when with us. Can y'all hear me? Hello?
Yes.
we can hear you.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, a few things has happened with us. For one, all of our graduate students are on are doing remote learning. That's number one. Number two, although we are allowed to come on campus, we have to go by and get a test first, get a COVID test first. That test can be done on campus, or we can go to our professional, to our doctor. The goal is to eliminate as many people as possible coming on campus. So what they have done is that all first year freshmen who are staying in the dorms, they're going to be on campus, and all others will be off campus learning. Along with that, the wraparound services that's on campus, the graduate students are still able to utilize those services. However, there is a process that we have to go through. We have to go through a security check as well as get an armband, a daily armband that represents that we're only there for a certain period of time. Okay. All of our other services we can do online, like ordering books and things of that nature. For right now, for the last updates that I got, we only had out of all the people that they sent, because before you could even come on campus, you have to take a test and send the test in. So out of all the people they tested, only one person came back with that COVID-19 before coming to campus. So they had to let that person stay home for like 14 days to get a clear and then come in. So for right now, we haven't had another update about how many people. I'm actually looking for that update. If there has been anyone who caught the outbreak during the time that we have opened, we have not seen any emails come through. However, the president of the university administration team has been sending out updates about what the policies is as far as the COVID-19, as well as set up information on the website where people can actually go to view those policies as well. The graduate school has been posting those policies in our newsletters and on our GroupMe social media account, so that everybody is in the know of what's going on. On September the 19th, we will have an information session with the administration talking about where we stand with the COVID-19. So this will be a town hall for the graduate students to actually be a part of. So those are the updates with Bowie State.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Michael. Does anyone else have things to add from their various campuses of what's working well or maybe is of concern related to COVID?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Hi. Okay. So I don't know if this is an answer that maybe somebody already has, but one thing that I observed, working with UMGC is that we actually did have a bit of an issue with our lending library program. I'm not as clear why students weren't able to order books. Typically, you can get books by mail, you can return, there's drop-off procedures. From what I understand, surfaces have a fairly low risk. So I don't know all the decisions that went into suspending some of those programs, if they were suspended when they're coming back online. That's just a piece of the communication that we really haven't gotten. And certainly, we can understand why those programs might not be available, but that's something we need to know more about.
Can I ask from the system level, has anyone else in the meeting experienced library issues? Library lending issues?
I've had a library book out that's been overdue for a few months, but they haven't asked for it back, and I'm not allowed to like go back to campus. So, it was due back like the end of March.
Uh-huh.
So, but I know it's an issue for some of the law students because, like, especially if you're doing research, like some of the stuff is only in like a paper form. And so, but they've been pretty good about scanning stuff for students and then sending a PDF of it, if you know exactly what you're looking for.
Anita, have you or any of your colleagues on your council reached out to anybody at the school about it, whether it's someone in charge of libraries or your academic affairs unit?
Not that I'm immediately aware of, but definitely I'll confirm with my reps and then loop back with them to see if there's any additional information out there that we might not have yet.
Okay, and then the system does have, this is a point of information, and then how we would follow up after you went ahead and checked with your campus colleagues. There's an entity called the USMAI, USM and affiliated institutions, a library consortium of sorts. I'm pretty sure it's all of the USM institutions and some of the privates in the state. And the executive director of that alliance sits in the USM office. So although I don't have all of the answers about the libraries and their practices, I know who to ask. So once you check with your folks, reach out to Annie or me at zlee@usmd.edu. I was probably on an email you got recently. And just let me know what you found out and if we need to do any follow-up for you.
All right, thank you so much. That sounds great.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. I feel like College Park folks may want that as well. So this is me stepping out of present role into College Park role. A lot of graduate students are finding that delays to their, well, PhD students in particular, delays to their research because they can't get to the physical library spaces. And then some of the interlibrary loan programs seem to be suspended. Unsure why. So yeah, thank you for the library person bringing up library things. Anita, thank you, Anita. What else? Anything else for COVID before we move on to diversity and inclusion?
Hi, I'm not currently a representative. I'm running an election later on in the meeting, but I had a thought about COVID and combined with the mental health issue for the veteran population, losing the ability to be part of an in-person community, and maybe how that could affect, the mental health of students, and just reaching out or maybe being a little bit more proactive to engage students who might not recognize that, that is affecting something, but it is. Just somehow reaching out.
I really hope I got that right. You can totally correct me if I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope I got that right. That's a really good point. And it really is a really strong overlap. Have others on this call seen or heard or have concern or think that they're an exemplary example of mental health resources during this time of COVID?
I could comment. UMC's, which I realize I didn't say what that stands for, University of Maryland Center for Environmental Science. I guess last semester we had a mental health committee and they created a pretty lengthy document, mental health resource document for all of our different labs. So UMCES is made up of 4 different labs across the state. And so it's information, lab specific information. And we just updated that and reshared that a couple weeks ago. So maybe resharing resources like that to your institution would help, so people have it at their hands.
Very good point. Definitely. Anybody else before we move? Oh, hey, Matt, what's up?
Hello, I'm Matt Rose, and like Laura, I'm going to be talking about the VP thing later. But one of the things that I noticed on, I think UMGC shared it on LinkedIn a couple of days ago, was where they provided a student with some sort of powerful computer so they could, that they weren't able to access at the campus, with some sort of software that they needed for their specific program. So that was something that I didn't even know was a possibility. I know a lot of the high schools and elementary schools are doing that for their virtual students, providing computers, especially if you have multiple children in the house, and if you have 1 or 2 computers for the whole family, that might be something that is kind of hard while the parents going to school and the children are going to school. So maybe if there was some technology resources that would be helpful, would be great.
Very good point. Yeah. Are other folks hearing anything related to COVID and graduate students who are also parents or guardians on your campuses and how they're doing?
I have my computer muted because my kids are running around. So, but yeah, just the whole new world of Zoom and trying to concentrate while your kids are here all the time is something that I've got a lot of from work colleagues, and there's especially UMGC, there's a lot of working parents that are there. So yeah, that's definitely something that brings its own new challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I know
Hey, Annie.
anecdotally. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I didn't even see who tried first. I trust you.
It doesn't matter, but I was just going to say anecdotally that I think the level of difficulty of being a student and a parent has been somewhat the same, but some of my friends who have children have said that it's been new challenges, but also new benefits of not having to have childcare during class, especially if their kids are older, like 7, 8, 9 or so, because they're actually home. But it is also difficult for these students who have children that are students as well, of who's using the computer and the bandwidth and stuff like that, especially if they have classes going on at the same time.
100%. Thanks, Drew. And thanks, Matt.
I actually want to ditto on that as well, because what I'm finding out from our graduate students is that although they're working from home, it's almost like multitasking for them to deal with family needs, work from home, and also get schoolwork done. You can see this being something, especially when during class time. You can see the young kids in the background. They're interrupting the conversation, things of that nature. So it becomes very frustrating for the graduate student to focus. And they also feel that there is no, that you can't get away from it. Like normally we are able to go to classrooms, get away from the house and things of that nature. And that's not happening now. So it brings on a level of frustration, and it also brings on a level into what we're about to go into, mental health as well, because now it gets them a little depressed or anxious and things of that nature.
I would just like to add that a lot of our classes, since we are using Zoom, we're using the record feature, which is really great for those sort of situations that you might not be able to concentrate, or also if you have an unstable internet connection, helps a lot with that, with coping with those issues.
Thanks, Amber. Yeah, definitely. I know there was one College Park, she's actually on she's on the graduate student government, and she has 3 little ones, and she has to teach synchronous language instruction for Spanish and Portuguese. Woo! It's something else. I actually think she might have done something. I don't know if she did a resolution or what. Dan, what all is Sophia up to with the grad parent topic? Do you have anything for that?
Yeah, so she's actually the president. I'm blanking on the name of the organization, but it's basically an organization that like represents students who are also parents. And she's also an international student, or at least is an advocate for international students. And the resolution was more about that. It was more about, we created an ad hoc committee for international students, but she is hoping to partner the organization that she's the president of with GSG to continue advocating for students who are also parents. But that's still in the works.
Fair enough. And that's a really good point. With everything going on related to COVID and travel restrictions, how are international graduate students doing around your all's campuses?
This has been very difficult for us at Bowie State with the international students because they are a big part of our population. So a lot of people are definitely have not been able to come back. So it interrupts their education for one, especially if you're inside of a country outside the United States where the internet service is not that good or time changes and things of that nature. So we're trying to become very creative in order to deal with the international students and their needs. I think we have lost some students based off of this as well, which brought down our graduate enrollment needs as well. So those are things that we're looking into to see how we can, get a better handle on those opportunities. And then also because the international students bring a level of diversity to the campus. We had organizations that was geared towards international students that we don't have this semester, which limits some of the diversity that we're looking for. So it's kind of difficult all the way around when we're speaking of our international students and what they bring to the table at the universities.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks, Dan, and thanks, Michael. Those are really good points. And I think that's a pretty good segue into the second one, diversity and inclusion. What's on your mind related to diversity and inclusion? What's going on your campuses?
This is a sort of announcement thing, but UMB is going to be appointing a new vice president and officer for diversity, inclusion, equity at UMB. So this will be a president cabinet level position. And the search is actually going on right now. We're going to be having our second kickoff meeting tomorrow. And there is student representation on this search committee. So I'm excited to see what happens. I think tomorrow we will be finalizing the role profile for this individual. And I got the rough draft and I have some comments on it, which I will probably bring up tomorrow which needs to be edited to make it a more UMB specific role.
Thank you, Niv.
I'm at UMCs, like I mentioned, and we are a very unique program. We only have about 90 graduate students, so we're a lot smaller than others. But this is an issue that I guess I'm personally focusing on as the new GSC chair. And I want to talk to other institutions of how, well, first, what you're doing and how you're getting the budget to do so. So UMCs held a virtual vigil, an UMCs-wide virtual vigil for George Floyd and victims of police violence in June, and that led to a lot of motivation from people in UMCs. And we just started a diversity, equity, and inclusion collaborative. So right now it has representatives from each lab, faculty, students, and they've met several times this year, but the idea is to open it up to all of UMCs and get input and ideas from everyone. But it seems like a lot of what we want to do requires money. So, Kia, the co-chair, and I have been also in contact with UMD's Office of Diversity Inclusion and met with Dr. Carlton Green a couple times to see, since we are UMC students are College Park students, it's a little confusing, but we get resources to their offices. So we're trying to come up with UMC's wide events or initiatives. But it seems the first step we need to do is maybe do what's called a cultural climate assessment to kind of gauge people's interests and views of this topic at UMC's. And that we got a quote from an external organization. It's $3,000 to $4,000, and to follow up and track the progress of that type of assessment costs money. And we want experts to run these type of events. We don't just want a professor or a student running it. And so that costs. So anyways, we need a budget, and with this year the budget's pretty tight. So I'm just wondering how people are handling that and what other campuses are doing. Sorry, that was a lot of information.
Anna, so I can talk from a USGA point of view, UMB point of view. Most of our budget comes from fees that we charge students. So each student pays $11 per semester, which comes up to about 66 to anything to 70,000, depending on the enrollment for that year. So most of our programming events or events that require any kind of expenses, it comes out of that budget. Now, I'm not sure if UMC's has a specific student fee levied for UMC's, but maybe that is something you can check and see if your organization does, because that's how many of the school specific organizations like the GSA also gets their money. There's a university-wide student fee of $11, and each school has their own specific school fee, which is again something around $10 or something, not significant, but when you consider number of students, it adds up to a lot. So check and see if your school has any USMSC, UMC's fee, and whether there is something, even if you all don't have access to it, whether there's an office that can help with these initiatives.
Yeah, thank you. I think we wait. So since most UMC students aren't at College Park, we waive those fees. So our students don't have to pay. So I think we waive a student fee, which might be helpful in times like this.
So Anna, is your question specifically about how the student government associations or graduate student associations are getting their fees, or getting the budgets to do these kinds of initiatives and events, or how the school is funding them when you're thinking about the school doing what they need to do? Because
I guess both.
Both?
Yeah. I'm just trying, I want to do this the right way, and it just seems like it keeps stopping because we don't have the money to do things.
So you alluded to the budgets being tight, and yes, even school-wide, we know that's going to be an issue for a couple of years to come, this fiscal year, next fiscal year, maybe beyond that. But I will send to the entire group a link to the USM website where there's some diversity information. And just a week ago, we presented to one of the board's committees the campus plan. So not student government specific, which is why I was asking that question, but the campus plan and progress reports as they pertain to diversity and inclusion. My immediate reaction is that this should be campus level. If you all as student organizations are doing something to support, beautiful, but you should not be, and from the reports I've poured through all 12 of them, you should not be, and you don't seem to be the ones who need to be the ones leading the work necessarily. I would encourage everyone to check out at least your school's report, and then start talking to diversity officers or people in charge of these committees, because some of you don't have officers, but you do have alliances or committees, and or your president. If you have that tight loop, this is a conversation for that level. And then the question may be more so, especially if your fee structure doesn't give you what you need to do something on your own, you talk to folks on the campus level, then you can be worked into and work with what's already happening at the campus level. So you don't have to see it as what are we going to do as students? It's how are we going to partner with this entire initiative that should be happening anyway. So I'll send that link. I think maybe once we debrief, Annie, if you can mention that to the entire group when everyone comes back, and I'll just send the link so everyone can start to kind of piece through at least what we know at the system level, and then continue the conversation here among your peers.
Thank you. That'd be great. I will totally do that. What else is going on for diversity and inclusion? I know some good things are going on at U Baltimore. I was about to go for it, Dan.
So over the summer, our university student government wanted to be very passionate on the issues of diversity and inclusion. We wanted to see what we could do to kind of really advocate for things that would long-term benefit our students, not just this year, but beyond that too. So we passed a resolution earlier in the summer asking our school to recognize Juneteenth. And something that I wanted to ask is what your universities have done on that matter in regards to Juneteenth. Do any of your universities maybe celebrate that holiday? And if so, to what capacity? Because a lot of things that we bring to our university in regards to that, they said that we had to bring it higher up because USM makes those decisions and not University of Baltimore. So I wanted to see if that's maybe a conversation we could have here and see what can happen. But then when we were on the topic of diversity and inclusion, a big project that our student government was able to be successful with doing was advocating for a painting of a rainbow alley. And later this month on September 26th, we are going to be painting a rainbow alley on our campus. So a whole alley will be painted as a pride flag. And then we have additional ideas on how we can use that space to better commemorate different types of inclusion and not just about the LGBT community. We want to make it a bigger thing on our campus.
Thanks, Dan.
There's actually one other thing that we are doing too. So coming up most likely at our next meeting, we are passing another resolution, which is a follow-up to a resolution we did a few years ago, asking the school to change Columbus Day and start recognizing Indigenous or Native Peoples Day. And we wanted to see if any maybe of your universities have done that. And if they have, how have you done that? How have you been successful at achieving that? And if you could maybe share any tips with us at UB so we can maybe be successful at bringing that to our campus too.
Wow, that is really good. Thank you for giving us that information. I'll bring it up to our president as well, because we don't, on Columbus Day, we don't even take off on that day. We're actually at school on that day. So, so there are certain holidays that traditionally are utilized that we don't utilize at our school. So thank you for that. And that's a good suggestion. Thank you.
Likewise, I think now that that's a really good point, Dania. I think that's something which UMB will also try to bring up, and that's a phenomenal suggestion. So thank you so much for that.
Hey everyone, Jonathan Beckett, Towson University. I'm president for the GSA. We also, Towson is moving forward in recognizing Juneteenth as a holiday annually. This past year, summer classes were canceled during that day, but starting 2021, it will be an administrative or paid holiday for the university. I'm not sure regarding Columbus or Indigenous Peoples Day. I will look into that myself. Something we are also doing that was actually brought forward by the petition from the SGA was we were reviewing some dormitories on campus that are named after people who were slave owners. So we're reviewing currently, and that committee has student representation, reviewing the names of those dormitories based on a new naming policy that was put in place about a year ago. So that's something we're doing now.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. That's great to know. And Jonathan, do you happen to know in the process of getting Juneteenth recognized if the school felt it was their choice or if it was a system policy? We're trying to figure that piece out.
I think because this year it was just like a canceling of classes, that might have just been a university choice. As far as moving next year toward it being, I guess, a annual recognition of the holiday, I'm not sure. That might have been from like the higher ups, but I can ask that as well.
Thanks. And congrats, that's awesome. both things. What else, folks? Do you have things?
And can I make a Juneteenth comment? Because
please
you
do.
and I spoke about this too. Daniel, I'm not sure. Let me back up. In the USM office, so it's 100 or so of us in the USM office, the chancellor gave our office a half a day that day. So it doesn't quite parallel that the system would have told a school that they couldn't do something if the system was already getting some time off. So I don't know if there's miscommunication somewhere, but I did double check with our human resources officer, and what we got was just for the system office, but we did recognize that some schools had made some provisions, possibly like what happened at Towson this year. So, maybe we can continue looking and talking to folks, but I don't know if we're leading at the system towards that being a annual situation, but I do know we got half a day off with encouragement that be a day for learning and reading and reflecting and understanding, as opposed to just sleeping the rest of the day away. So,
And
I'll
just for
see what
point of
else I can find
clarification,
out.
I want to just give a little bit of clarification. We are trying to get our university, if they cannot even recognize the day as a holiday, just to put it as an observance day on our calendar. And that's where they said that it may be a thing that we need to go to the system for to request answers. That's why. Just to clarify, we want the date to be
Okay.
recognized as an observance day.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what that looks like, but all right, thanks for clarifying.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, that's really good. Good clarification. Well, I just noticed the time, and we have about 10 minutes left in our breakout. If you want to let folks know, Zakia, in the other breakout session. And then
Okay.
I'll open it up for basically the entire thing. We focused most of our time on the top 2 things that were present and what people said was most important on their campuses. And we have already had a very robust discussion today about civic engagement. So I'm going to move on to mental health, but if you have things to add for civic engagement, please just, jump those in, but I don't want us to miss mental health since we had a civic engagement conversation earlier. So I just plopped a couple things down here because we had folks mention from UMGC, thinking about specific groups that maybe need some more being more proactive, like veterans, and also thinking about parents at this time. What are some things going on at your campuses that are good, or things that you're worried about related to mental health?
Hi, this is Beth from UMGC. I'm just going to chime in real quick. So our university has tried to communicate to us to develop relationships with individual professors. If there are circumstances that are coming up, make sure you know the options available to you in terms of getting an extension, not just on assignments, but being able to take an incomplete so that you can work through things. And I think that we can streamline those communications and, again, help students know what even existed pre-COVID for them to take advantage of stretching out the term if they need to, or how to pick up classes according to their challenges. And I want to make sure that when we're talking about these groups that are also experiencing extra challenges, that it's not just a matter of parents, but caregivers. When you're looking at non-traditional student populations, you're looking at people who are taking care of their parents who might be elderly, who may be taking care of siblings, who are now, if they have the professional flexibility to telework and to remote work, they're now absorbing the responsibilities of populations that might not have that benefit. So definitely, I think that continued streamlined communication of what are my real options. I can't get this thing done right now. What are my real options? How can I develop a better relationship with my faculty member? Those are good steps. I think that we could try to tap into some relationships, maybe even within some of the mental health faculty within the system, and see if we can identify what telehealth options, what remote counseling options that we might be in a position to support or endorse, even if it's just putting together a resource list of saying, hey, if you are having a crisis, here are real people that you can talk to and work through that. So I think that destigmatizing the situations that populations like veterans, caretakers encounter are going to be a big part of that, but also making sure we're connecting that to real actions. What can you do when you have this situation?
Our counseling, this is Michael again from BSU, our counseling department has been doing webinars to give people some source of give people resources to mental health care, to address some of the mental health concerns, as well as to educate people on some coping skills that they can use, especially in the time of the COVID, the social justice, as well as probably one of the bigger items right now is being on Zoom or being in front of a computer for so long a period of your time of your day. So many people are having meetings in the office, also having meetings at school, and all of this is online. So it drains them mentally. So we've actually been doing webinars to combat some of those issues.
Hi, I just want to add in that I think it would be a good option if it was some type of Zoom option for counseling for students if needed, because most times students are so overwhelmed, especially during the work from home, as also teaching their kids from home. And so when they become overwhelmed with the course, they'll just drop their course opposed to seeking out options because they feel that there are no options. Because oftentimes the professor is stipulated that if your work isn't turned in on time, then you pretty much fail the course. So it definitely needs to be more emails sent out to give students more options if they are faced with that, so that they still can be successful with their courses.
Annie, can I add, we at the system convene the counseling center directors. When the pandemic first hit, we were meeting every couple of weeks or so. Now we're at about every month. And they're pretty much across the board. What they found is that students who were already receiving services in the counseling centers are still receiving services. They kind of just stayed connected to the counseling centers, but they have not seen, let me say this is before the school year really got started good, but they were not seeing as many new clients as they had hoped. I would put some money on, I don't have my notes in front of me, but everybody is offering telecounseling options. Now, there are some nuances when you're talking about students who are out of state. There's some technical licensing kinds of issues that would need to be considered, but the campuses have adapted pretty well as far as being able to accommodate students as clients via Zoom in most cases. So if you're not familiar with that, then I'm going to encourage you to reach out to your counseling centers and then talk to your student government colleagues about how you want to publicize what the options are. Because everyone, Board of Regents all the way to everyone on the campus level realizes that this mental health piece is significant right now, even, on top of the fact that it was huge to begin with. But, yes, tack a pandemic on top of it and everything that comes with it. The campuses, the counseling center directors are doing their level best to try to be ready for those who are coming their way. So we do depend on you all to get the word out. So to figure out exactly what that word is on your campus, go ahead and reach out to the counseling center or your vice presidents for student affairs to see what kind of information is there to be able to relay it to the students. And if you find a void, then let us know. But I think most of the counseling center directors are, and their teams are, because a lot of them are working from home too. So they would be on Zoom, seeing a student who was at home, but they do notice, and this kind of ties into some of your diversity issues from before, that some students are plagued, so to speak, by not having a private space at home to speak to a counselor. So that may be something that is leading some students to not get services they might need because, you know, there's a kid over there and there's a mom somewhere else, or they don't want to reveal something private that they would say to a counselor in confidentiality to their family. So there are a lot of pieces there, but I think the counseling center directors are trying to meet needs as much as possible. So reach out to figure out what that is on your campus and how you can publicize that to your peers.
Thanks so much. Those are really good. Is there a solution for I remember that being an issue on the council during the spring. Is there any solution for those who are at home in other states or around the world in the case of UMGC?
We haven't found it yet. It's a national issue. It's a licensing issue that's beyond a system mandate or request. We know that there's some folks in the Maryland General Assembly who are paying attention to it, and it needs to be at that level, and maybe even at the federal level. So our governmental affairs folks do recognize that this is a problem. When we first started convening the counseling center directors, they knew it was going to be an issue. And there are some boards and some pieces that I'm not even familiar with that this needs to get cleared up with. So no solution yet, but a lot of attention to the issue and the problem.
Noted. Thank you. All right. Well, it is 12:31, so we're going to head back to regroup. If you didn't get what you wanted in quite yet, know that we're regrouping, and feel free to bring up things that have been brought up, but also if you had something to add. All right. Thanks, Zakia. We can welcome everyone.
I'm gonna close them out. Let's see what happens.
Okay, here's hoping. We don't lose anyone. This is also practice for the election, which is gonna also need a break.
Right. If we lose all of our VP candidates, I can only call Drew. He's the only one I know how to reach. So we'll figure it out.
We will.
It's one little
several are in this room. We have Matt, Laura.
I think they're all here. Yeah.
Yeah, almost
and you got their phone
everyone.
numbers. You were smart to get phone numbers, so we're okay.
That's true because of the role. Of course, they're all in here, so we shouldn't lose anybody.
All right. It says the breakout rooms will close in 55 seconds. So.
Okay. Well, if anyone has anything they want to add for 55 seconds, you feel free.
I'll take 10 seconds. One thing that I forgot to mention when we were talking about the diversity inclusion piece that also crossed over to mental health is maybe looking at how campuses are supporting students with different abilities and students that are actually engaging with physical challenges, not just from COVID, but from shifts to remote work and even getting around all this moving on and off campus if you're somebody that has a disability. So that's just something I want to put a pin in, maybe for discussion later.
Thank you for that, Beth. Now I know you go by Beth. Sorry for calling you Anita. It's all good. Yeah. And to that, there have been, I know that another, oh, sorry, everybody's joining, so I'll wait on that. 55 seconds fly.
Hey, Annie, we're coming back.
Yeah, welcome back. How's the undergraduate breakout session?
Great, it was great.
Good. I'll go ahead and I'll stop sharing ours because I want us to be able to see each other's faces more than seeing just my notes for our debrief.
Okay, there we go. I see them.
Yes, it worked.
You did a good job, Zakia.
Yeah. Woo!
Thank you very much.
I give you the part. You did. It's a very exciting thing that it worked. Welcome back, everyone. I hope everyone had hopefully an insightful time. You're getting to know your colleagues, people that you can reach out to well beyond and in between these meetings. So, we had a great discussion about Juneteenth, and hopefully that'll continue offline between the campuses. We're having really good discussions about Tele options for counseling was another one, thinking about our international students who are stuck abroad. So just note these conversations are getting started maybe in these meetings across the system, but please do keep them up. There is a contact sheet, so keep up with each other. So for now, we're going to regroup as the larger community. What were some of the main takeaways? We'll start with the undergrads. What were some of your main takeaways?
So I took a lot of notes from everyone. Everyone chimed in. It was really great. One thing we noted is that, really great leadership right now with our SGAs. They're working very closely with their institutions and got us some really good information. So you mentioned telehealth, right? Mental health being a concern, of course. So we heard, there's flyers and posters being put up, and there's telehealth appointments and counseling appointments being made available to students. There's quarantines in place as needed. And they're getting ready to do a lot of retesting. So some campuses are going to require full retesting in the next couple of weeks or so. They also mentioned needing to ensure that testing sites are reporting information accurately. So there's been some concern there about that information. But overall, the positive case rates remain low across most of the campuses. And for places where there's cases popping up or arising, they're looking at student activity to see where the clusters appear and then try to do some contact tracing and see what's causing that as well. Another issue that came up were student fees, because given that, a lot of folks are remote right now, they want to look at how to reduce the burden on students. So student fees are still being addressed at some of the campuses. They also want to make sure that professors are being understanding right now. So there are times where students can't get access to textbooks because they're waiting on the post office for that to arrive, and it's a delay in some places. So making sure that professors are understanding of that. Students are wearing their masks. That was a good thing. We heard that across the board. There's some frustration at closing, for instance, at Towson, where they had to recently close down, but overall students are still maintaining and moving forward. And then lastly, they are proactively limiting student activity for instance, during Labor Day. There was a proactive measure to keep students either, in some cases, a lockdown, or just to really limit their movement across the campus ahead of the holiday and during the holiday. They're also cutting most meetings back to being online. And then if there are events taking place, there's a lot of new restrictive measures in place. If the event is authorized, there's outdoor tents, and then there's sanitation stations put in place as well. So hopefully I caught everything. If I missed anything, chime in, but.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Is there anything to add from the undergrads?
This is Joe, and I'm really sorry I didn't catch who it was that said it, but in the context of the counseling and outreach and peer outreach, as well as the professional counselors on campus, the phrase was used, "We want you to be your best self." And the idea that it takes a village, if you will. To me, that was a great tagline or a version of it. Paige, was that you that I can't remember who used that phrase, but it was wonderful.
Yeah, I think it was Jordan DeVoe who said that.
Okay, Jordan, I know it was great.
That is awesome. As similarly, the graduate students talked a lot about mental health, and as we really did notice those connections, right, between all four of those top things on their agenda setting form. So we noted that resources need to be known. So talking to your presidents at your various institutions and understanding what resources there are and what initiatives are going on and what funding is available for diversity and inclusion initiatives, making sure you're having those conversations so that things can be coordinated and so you can get get the word out and not be doing things duplicatively and not doing things in a way that you don't want to do them because you don't have the funding. So thinking those things through and realizing, as you talk through each of those same issues, we had a lot of the same points that Bernetta brought up so wonderfully. We talked specifically about a few different populations that may be feeling the effects of all four of these things more now than ever. We talked about veterans and mental health. We talked about international students being stuck out of the country, international students being a large population at many schools of the graduate students. And how those are stressors and how do you best support international students and know what those support mechanisms are. We talked about grad parents, but not just parents, guardians, caretakers, all the different caretaking things going on right now that are being absorbed by many graduate students, depending upon the situation and how that impacts mental health. Because if you don't have a private space at your home, even if there's a tele-counseling option, how are you supposed to take that up? So many good things that would take a long time to go over all the ones we discussed, but please know to use these breakout sessions as a time to get to know each other and to have these conversations beyond, to share. And then I wanted to ask a question of Joe and Zakia. Of the things that you heard in both of the breakout sessions, what are ones that we could pinpoint to as things a system council can address? Do any of the things that you heard in either breakout session relate to a USM policy that we should be reviewing or asking for amendments to, or topics we should be looking at the system level?
Let me jump in on that one first, Annie. When we were talking about the mental health services at the undergraduate, I wrote down, I keep a separate list of things that I want to talk to provosts or VPSAs or whatever about. And we specifically talked about making sure that on each campus, there is a place handy, if you will, on a website or whatever for students to have a directory of support services, a variety of services, whether that's for veterans or whether it's specifically for undergrads, whether it's counseling services, peer groups, whatever might be available. And it seems like there are some places where that is not easily recognizable. So I'm going to be talking to our vice presidents for student affairs about that specific item directly. I think Towson gave a couple of examples of ways that they had approached their administration, first on fees and also on the issue of asynchronous learning. I've already emailed the provost while we've been talking about it and said it sounded like the initial response was a pretty good one to keep up the good work. But in fact, I would urge each one of the student leaders here to, if there are specific requests that can be put together to take through the administration, to do it in a way that will be most likely to earn mutual respect and good response, I would say. And it sounded like at Towson, they took the time, the administration took the time to, in fact, inform the students about how some of the budget processes work and so on. So it wasn't just a knee-jerk response, yes, no, or maybe. It was a process that they went through. And I would urge all of the other student leaders to engage in that kind of good learning process, because it is a teachable moment, if you will. Oh, and the other thing I'll say is we're still working on testing. We're trying to make it as accessible and responsive and so on as possible. I didn't hear anybody screaming, at least, about things being so bad on their campus, which is a good thing. It's a real challenge. We've done approaching 100,000 tests now, and we're still getting things back in, I think the longest we've had is about 55 or 56 hours in response time, which is not bad. It's longer than we'd like for it. And we're always looking for new and innovative ways, the point of service or point of care tests we're going to be looking at and so on. But so far, once again, I heard over and over again that the students are doing their part or more than their part in making this system work, understanding that our campuses are trying their very best to give each and every student as robust and engaged a semester as we possibly can. And we're all in this together to, in fact, if things go sideways. And it's not a matter of blame, but working together to consistently. We're already thinking very, very seriously about the challenges we're going to face when the weather starts getting much worse than it is now. And we're already talking very seriously about spring semester and so on, recognizing that we're going to have to make some serious decisions before the time that students are pre-registering for spring, so that you know what you're pre-registering for. So those conversations are going on very seriously, trying once again to do the very best we can for the students. Z, I don't know whether you want to add anything to that or not.
I have to admit to missing most of the questions. In the grad student breakout, we talked about multitasking and kids being in the background, and that was me for about 10 seconds of Annie's question. So
you're fine.
I heard Joe and Zakia, and then something happened. And
it's all good. Maybe this would be a good time to give the offer of everybody, because one of the ways it's useful to have this coalition, or sorry, council across the system is sharing information. So the offer to share the diversity and inclusion work everywhere, if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, we in the grad student breakout talked about diversity and inclusion broadly, hit a lot of great topics. Folks were able to share some of the interesting things going on at their institutions. And one of the issues that was brought up was funding or budgets to make some of these great things happen. And my suggestion was, or question was, are folks thinking of it as the budget that the student council or government has, or are we talking about a university-wide budget? Most of you probably already know or have an indication that system-wide, even the USM office, budgets are going to be an issue for at least in this current fiscal year, next year, and maybe beyond. But my recommendation was to not think of diversity and inclusion as something that you as a council or you as a student government have to handle yourself. If you can, great, but there are university-wide levels at which you can participate and be engaged. So I told Annie that I would send to everyone a link to the USM diversity and inclusion page that includes a couple of things. One, a new framework that the Board of Regents and the Chancellor will be working under to try to broaden our focus or shift our focus a little bit from just diversity and inclusion to dealing with structural racism. And that is rolling out now. Half of the presidents at our last board meeting presented some of the things that are happening on their campus. The other half will talk to the board on Friday. Also, there are annual cultural diversity reports that come into the board, and one of the committees heard those current reports last week, and all of that gets rolled up to the state level. And so I'll share the link so you can have what's happening there. But if you find that your council or your student government may not have the funds to do some of the things you're considering, I encourage everyone to talk to their campus level diversity officers, vice presidents for student affairs, or even the president, because every school has a lot going on. And if you can't make it happen for budget reasons at the council level, then you can begin talking about how your council and your government can support and be a part of what's happening at the institution level. So I'll send that link, but we do want you to be able to understand that it's not something that you alone have to take on. And the presidents have this as key, top of mind, and should be able to find ways to partner with your student government or council.
Thank you so much. And I just remembered the other one. Something that came up for grad students, I don't know if it came up for undergrad, was access to library resources. So one call out we did have is if you are having trouble accessing library resources, check in first with your campus, but if it continues, there's a group called USMAI, and they can be checked in with if there's things going on, and we can try to figure out stuff for that. What is the right level for, it seems like both undergrads and graduates discussed this issue of flexibility during this time. So things about, the stresses and mental health related with, I'm reading my syllabus. It says if I miss for anything other than something I can get a note for, there's a problem. If there's no grace being given for deadlines being missed if you're all of a sudden you're taking care of 3 other people in your home, and the result of that being dropped classes, dropped academic performance, and so forth. And wondering, is there something at the system level? Is that at the institutional level? How do students get involved to help address that rigidity during such a precarious time?
The response I would give you on that, Annie, is a lot of that would be certainly at the institutional level and with the provost. But the other thing you all may want to do is try and articulate that, if you will, to the Council of University System faculty, because this ends up being, if you will, under the big bold banner of academic freedom, and that each faculty member has control of what their content in their course and their individual response. But if there is a sense that there is not, especially in general, not enough flexibility being given, then we need to raise that as an issue, if you will, on the academic side of the house. And we can certainly do that at a provost council. But you all may want to write something to the council of your colleagues in the Shared Governance Council University System faculty, just noting that everybody's having a tough time right now, and could we be a little bit more flexible? I do have to congratulate our faculty. I don't know how many thousands of hours it ended up being over the summer that faculty were in training to try and improve their online skills and so on. And you all have to realize that that was all done, what we could say, off contract, because many of our faculty are on 10-month contracts. So they were in dozens of hours of training and redefining their courses for the spring with no payment. But that is a separate issue from their flexibility on things like absences or so on. So
Oh, you accidentally muted yourself, Joe. Oh, bye, Joe. We have a really interesting, cool idea here from Ashley, UMGC, which is there a way to create COVID accommodations? Examples being space of accessibility resources, communicating more about pre-existing options, like what an incomplete is, how to take it would be helpful, and so forth. And everybody can read in the chat. Thank you, Ashley. This is actually a very effective way to get your question out here. What do folks think?
I wonder how much of it would need to come from the top down, right? Because a lot of institutions, have policies in place to support exceptions and medical needs and things like that. So unless you're experiencing, really severe symptom or side effect, and you can support, provide medical documentation to support that, what other types of accommodations, right? We talked about caretakers and folks being in the home, and we talked about in our undergraduate breakout session, we talked about how a lot of UMGC students are also working adults and working parents. And now they're also having to support their students at home with distant learning this year, right? Separate from their own education. So there's different types of things happening, and how would we accommodate those different types of situations?
One thing that if I could jump in,
one
thing that I think could be helpful, that I would envision, I don't know what kind of academic or creative license that professors have, like the language to talk about that, but potentially like a grief clause in a syllabus, kind of like, hey, people are dying at high rates, so there's a possibility that someone may pass that is close to you. Like if you have a funeral, it shouldn't be that you have to then think about, okay, I have to email all of my professors, to say that my grandmother has now gone on, to the next life. I feel like that's not really something that a weight that students should have to bear. So maybe that form of accommodation would be positive to consider. That you can get it within 48 hours after the memorial services have concluded or whatever. So yeah, however they're laid to rest and that kind of thing. But that's just something that I think of. A lot of movement back there. Sorry if that's loud, but yeah.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, Jordan.
Hi, it's Ashley.
Oh,
Yeah,
hey.
I was like typing in the chat. So maybe like if we drafted something about like what a COVID accommodation would look like, because it could encompass all those things, you know, because all of us are going to be impacted differently. So as far as like people that might lose people and may have to step away for a second, people that are dealing with the mental health, work-life balance, because it is such a unique situation. Like this isn't something that's going to happen all the time, and it should be a much more streamlined process for this to happen. Because like normally the process for accessibility or disability services, you do have to go get evaluated and all those things. And UMGC has a really like streamlined process where they contact everybody for you. But maybe a COVID accommodations that I just made up, they could just like send a memo or something to all the universities saying like during this time be a little bit more flexible.
Thanks, Ashley. Agreed. I'm curious, has anyone seen any of this happen? I know that our provost at College Park had all of us change our syllabi after classes had started, but yet it was still a positive change to insert COVID accommodations in our syllabi. Whether or not, I don't know how enforceable that was. I know we did it for the programs ITA for. Has anyone else seen COVID accommodations in their syllabi?
Hey, Annie.
I can jump in really quickly. My last class that I took for the summer was of the completion of the my master's degree. I did not see any COVID accommodations in the syllabi. Also for UMB, where I'm taking global health management, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't see any accommodations there either. So I think that's the gray area that needs to be addressed, because if those resources aren't where students are going to readily access, how would they know they're available? If they're not, how do they know to reach out to the president or to the provost if those resources aren't sent in emails where they know that students are going to access daily?
This is Tiffany from USG. I just wanted to jump in for a second. So no, I haven't seen any accommodations in my syllabi. I actually saw our curriculum kind of get worse. Like they actually took a 8-week course that we were supposed to have and they condensed it into 4 weeks. And they expect the same amount of work to be completed within those 4 weeks. And even though I go to USG, I'm actually a Towson student. So I just want like people to keep in mind that there are some non-traditional students, because I am a non-traditional student. I have 2 children of my own and they're online, and I'm student teaching this year. So I will be teaching online. So it's just overwhelming. And I just want people to keep that in mind.
Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you. This is all really good. What I'm hearing is this is across the board. I'm hearing that this, oh yeah, sorry, Matt.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just going to say at UMGC, I'm just looking through the syllabus and I don't see anything in there about it, but each of the teachers or each of the professors has sent out an email or sent something out saying to please keep them up to date on any COVID related issues that come up. And, you know, it's not just personally, but like with work. You know, there was a time when all this started happening that I had to deal with an outbreak that I'd never been through, and I had assignments due, and just a lot of the professors have been accommodating when they've been asked or informed of the issue that might have come up. So even if it's not in the syllabus, just letting them know that the students can contact them would be extremely helpful on a case-by-case basis.
It's for Bowie State. For Bowie State, Annie, they don't have it anything in our syllabus. I was just looking at it. They don't have anything in our syllabus. However, they do. They have sent out some communication about if there's anything going on, so on and so on. So like Matt was just saying. So I think that was. I think it should be in the syllabus so it can be front and center. But they do have something on the website that can address those needs.
Thank you, Michael.
So it sounds like the syllabi, the, COVID accommodations that Ashley suggested, just, communications with the professor, and then just the response time from the institution. Because if your professor is not being responsive or is not being, understanding, then you have to escalate that. And I know, at UMGC, there's a way to do that. And it's a really good process for the most part. I've seen it a few times, and the response time is usually within a day or two. And I don't know what it's like at other institutions, but maybe that's something worth looking at as well to see, what do students need to do if they're not getting what they need from the professor or making traction there.
Right. One thing I would do for just a second is flip that coin to the other side and remind you that all the professors are living in the age of COVID as well. Many of them are in high risk groups themselves. They also are taking care of, they may not have, some may have young children, some may have multi-generational households. So
yes, and I would add to, oh, sorry. You're muted. Sorry, Joe. I thought you were, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. That's all right. It's a two-way street. So direct communication with your professors, I would say, would always be the first step.
I would.
Annie, may I say something?
Let me just tag along to what Joe just said, and then I'll go right to you, Nate. I would also say that there's several people probably in this room, but there's several students who are both teachers and students who've been a part of all the summer things going on too. And I've heard from many graduate students who are also teachers of that limbo land being something. But yes, go for it, Nate.
I know there's been a bit of conversation here regarding where action should be taken. And I think with certain issues, top-down action is most certainly warranted. However, I'll say that from my perspective, I think as much as we can have go from the bottom up is going to be much more effective. Because if we're taking a more bottom-up approach from the institution levels, because a lot of these issues vary from institution to institution, I think we'll have more tailored responses. And also be able to foster that understanding amongst administration, faculty, and students. So it's not just saying, oh, look, we need to have this accommodation, but here's what we're experiencing and here's why we need this accommodation. And so I think, I really think Joe had a very important point when it came to talking with your counterparts on the faculty council. I think they really are a key stakeholder in this, and that's certainly very important. And I was also going to say, and I don't mean to steal any of David's thunder here, but one thing that SU has that I really think is really extremely valuable is we have office hours with some of our top administration every month. And so we have our president that holds an open office hour via Zoom. We have deans and vice presidents that hold open office hours. Even our Title IX coordinator holds an open office hour every month. And so I think a lot of these issues could be going to one of those individuals, at least at SU's campus. And I don't know if that's emulated across at other institutions, but I really think just having that dialogue and that open line of communication between the student body and individual students, and then those in administration who are making those decisions for the institution. Certainly when something needs to come from the top down, that can most definitely happen. But I think with these issues, as we're talking about the direct impact on student life, it's going to vary from institution to institution. So I think the bottom-up approach is certainly more effective in this case. But that's just my 2 cents, and I'd be very interested to hear if you have any thoughts on that as well.
I think I would first ask for one teeny tiny thing of clarification. Do you consider the USM Student Council bottom up or top down?
You know, I see the student council as being either, because I think the student council can inspire action from the bottom up, and I think the student council can also initiate action from the top down, you know, going to the faculty council, but also going to the Board of Regents, which is what Aaliyah and I are here for, you know, and pushing for action at the board. So I really think that council's in a unique position to adapt to either. I hope that was the right answer.
Agreed. That's why I asked for that clarification, because the discussion we're having here is to have both movements. I think both movements are always key. So I think I would agree with you to the one hand, we always want things to be tailored and contextualized. But what's great about this is we get to share and do bottom up. So people are hearing ideas, right? Like the alpha size you're talking about with senior admin, that sounds awesome. And now they'll hear that and maybe bring that back to their campuses, right? So we're here to share these ideas. We have Ashley's idea of the COVID accommodations. I really appreciated Jordan bringing up collective and individual bereavement and how are you talking about that on your campuses? But also it's for us, the directors, myself, the regents, all to hear to then also carry up, right? So I would definitely say that this appears to be really important to a lot of folks. So I'm going to work with Bernetta. I'll work with whoever the VPGA ends up being today. And probably this would fall under our co-directors for student affairs to try to see how do we best help create something that we send out to all of you all. Like, here are some resolutions some people have done related to this. You know, I know that University of Baltimore did a resolution related to requirements being made by teachers to keep videos on during classes. What does that mean? What does that entail? Can a grade really be tied to your video being on? What are the accessibility issues connected with that? So I think that this is just such a rich conversation. So I thank you all. And I think it really will, Nate, move up. It will move down. It'll spread across. The movement's going to be in all the directions, but hopefully towards positive results all over. Is there any, I know that this always happens to us, just so you all know, there's always so many things for all of us to discuss and collaborate on, but we do need to move into our next piece, but I don't want that to mean this discussion stops. So please continue, please continue. And I'm sorry, I'm also trying to read the chat as I do this, so 1 second. Yes, I think Ashley, could you speak to that just a little bit? I think that's a really valid concern.
Hi, sorry, I was like typing. I'm trying to like process. Like,
Yeah, sure
yeah,
thing.
yeah. So like, as far as the bottom up or the bottom up approach, like I would just be concerned about whether or not it would be consistent, you know? So it's like if I take one course and then I have a friend that takes another course and my professor's more conscious of what that we're in the time of COVID and that he should allot or like communicate better to check in on us to see if, you know, like it, like why we're not keeping up or whatever. And then the person in the other course where they're completely doing business as usual, they may like fall behind a little bit, even though we're all dealing with the same thing. Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah, everything in balance, right? Yeah, all the things in balance. No, it's a valid concern. So yeah, that's why it's always a tough balance of knowing what needs to come top. And top down can mean many things, right? It can mean system, it can mean the president at a university, it can mean the state is saying that there's a rule. So there's many different levels. So we'll keep talking about this as an executive team, since we have almost our full executive team now, to see how we can follow up on these items for you all. If there's something we didn't get to talk about during the regroup that's really important to you that came up in a breakout or didn't, always feel free to email us so that we can tackle it and make sure that it's on the next agenda or that we have a separate meeting with you, etc. So just know that we really value all of your thoughts and opinions, and I will personally, I'm really interested myself in the collective bereavement or bereavement grief piece. So I might be reaching out to Towson more about that to see more ideas about that. That being said, we almost have our full exec team, so it's time for the election. So as I mentioned earlier, just maybe 3 to 4 days ago, we had 19 nominees, which is why we reworked the agenda for today. I believe we're down to under 10 now, so it should be a much more doable group to really get to know, to then review and make a decision. The voting will happen in a closed session. But first I'm going to ask, and this might be hard for me to see, but I see Laura is here. Can the folks who are here
Annie?
to run, like, I don't know. Yeah?
Hey, Annie, real quick. I know this is probably going to take up the rest of the meeting. Do you want to throw in like a quick break for folks before we get started?
Yes, we sure do. Thank you, Bernetta. Yes, breaks are healthy. Yes, we will definitely do a break. Before we do a quick break, can those of you who are here to run, like, do some kind of emoji so I can see so I can see who's here? Okay, Matt, Laura, Drew. Matt, Laura, Drew.
Is Will
wow,
still here?
interesting.
Will is on my list, but he's
Wow, we're dropping down even further from even this morning. I don't see Will. Will, are you here?
So Matthew,
No, no, no.
Laura, and Drew.
Matt, Laura, and Drew.
And a statement from Justin. And he did email you.
You did get us something?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Justin, yeah, so we will help with Justin. Justin is actually ill and actually he's waiting to hear what that might be. So he sent in his statement, which I will pull up. But yeah, as we prepare for that next piece, everyone please enjoy a let's do a 10-minute break. So we'll see you back at 1:19. All right. And then
Drew, you got a question? Or were you saying here?
Just saying here. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Just
Thanks.
showing that I was here.
yeah, thanks, Drew. That was helpful. There's 3 pages for me now on my Zoom, so thanks. All right, how can I help prep for the election part?
Yeah,
You just need to tell me the order of the speakers. And I can move the other 2, actually, because Justin's not here. So tell me the order, if it matters at all, and then I'll move the other 2 into a breakout room until it's time for them to speak, and then I'll just keep moving folks back and forth and hope that I don't lose anyone.
Sounds good. I think we'll go in the order, maybe just alpha last name order. So that would be Laura Belko first, and then Drew Needham, and then Matt.
Okay.
And then maybe one of us can read the statement for Justin at the end.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Are you guys
Wow.
gonna do Gov Affairs or VP Grad first?
So Gov Affairs was an appointment, but through everybody being able to give feedback. So we welcomed all the directors at the beginning, which included Gov Affairs. So those were already selected, and you were not one of the
Oh,
top.
okay. No worries.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to chat that back to you, but my multitasking skills are only
No,
so
you're all
fast.
good. I was on a meeting, so.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, and so the people who got the most in the feedback forms were Yvonne Harper, who's coming back, if you remember Yvonne, and then Arslan Siddique.
Who was the last one?
Arslan Siddique, he was
Okay.
somebody who threw in his hat from College Park. So, yeah. Sorry, Drew, but I'm glad you're trying
No.
out for this one.
You're fine.
No, cool.
And yeah, you've done a really good job of just getting those forms in place and streamlining all these processes, even for the breakout sessions and for the nomination, like really good job with that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm hoping it helps and I'm hoping it helps us with analytics throughout, so we, can have our compass and stay together. I'm going to run to the restroom myself.
I think Rashad was saying something.
Yes, I had a quick question if you don't mind.
Sure.
So, I know you briefly mentioned that there was an institution that passed a resolution regarding camera requirements. We're trying to do something similar. So, could you tell me which institution was that? Just so I can contact
University
them.
of Baltimore. University
Thank
of
you.
Baltimore. So you can talk to Dan or Randy.
Perfect. Thank you.
We have so many Dan. But the Dan that's now co-director for student affairs, and then Randy Wells. Yeah.
I will send you the resolution.
Thank you.
Look at that. See, connections. Keep All right, welcome back, folks. At least I think.
We're still here.
I think so. I meant to say earlier, I know this is over lunchtime, so if I hadn't said it before, everyone, please eat as you do this, as you go through this process. All right, so for the Vice President for Government Affairs, we still have a few candidates standing strong after our 19 have dwindled. So hopefully this will allow for a more in-depth opportunity for you to get to know each of the candidates. We just thought we would go by alpha order last name. So if that's okay with you, Laura, we will begin with you. And since there are so few of you, please take, maybe no more than 5 minutes, but please do share who you are, what you have in mind for the role, why you want the role, etc.
So Annie, do you want me to move folks, or is everyone staying in the room? I can't remember what the.
I think we decided to move folks. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
So
that's
then
what
give me a
bylaws
second
require.
to send Drew and Matt to a room I am creating right now. Drew, Matt. See you guys in a second. Let's make sure they click off. Matt's gone from my screen. And looks like Drew is gone too. All right, Annie, I think you're good.
All right. With that, I will hand it over to Laura. Welcome, Laura.
Hi, hello everybody. I'm gonna be reading off my notes. So I'm Laura Belko. I'm a grad student at UMGC. Right now, I currently live in rural Indiana. I'm a 12-year Navy veteran and Navy chief. I would really love to have this opportunity to interact further with the school and give back. I'm not personally ambitious in seeking this position. I really just want to be of service and to serve my community. COVID has really had an isolating effect on me, and I want to be part of the resolution and the future growth after this pandemic and with it. I've been at University of Maryland in different ways over the past decade. Started overseas while active duty deployed in Japan. And then I was a hybrid student at College Park, commuting from Southwestern Virginia. And now I'm fully online from Indiana, like I said. This experience has really helped me, and I think it would help me in this role by giving me a broader perspective as to student concerns and student life, and the experiences that students have, and the need to balance their life in their school to be able to be successful. I got my undergrad at Rutgers in Camden, New Jersey. And I worked in the Veteran Affairs office there. I dealt with Title IX issues, student homelessness, challenges to veteran benefits and transition, as well as the whole student to faculty issue there that comes with students, and then definitely with non-traditional students. The virtual component is something that's definitely attracted me to this. Like I said, because I've been commuting a lot. So I think really this is a really great way for me to serve the University of Maryland community. Being a recent transplant to the Midwest, the rural Midwest during this pandemic, I'm actively been trying to seek ways to connect and engage with my community. And just being part of this meeting today, like I'm just super inspired by some of the things you guys are saying and how you guys are taking action on that. And I really want to be a part of that. Yeah, I really want to support the student council and be an effective voice and advocate for other students. And to clarify what I bring, I made a list. I bring strategic and deliberative thinking and planning. That's just kind of how my mind works. Might be a military carryover, I don't know, but that's how my mind works. I bring direct and effective communication, and I bring enthusiasm and effort. You can be sure that I will be at the meetings. No one's ever described me as apathetic. And finally, I bring, like I said, my variety of experiences and broad perspectives across some of the University of Maryland sphere. And I can help maybe better understand some of the student population because I've had some of those experiences, and I feel that empathy. So that was about it. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, thanks, Ashley.
Thank you, Laura. This is the time when we can do the question and answer period for all the candidates. So does anyone have any questions that you're wondering?
Yeah, absolutely. If no one wants to go first, hi Laura, thank you again, UMGC representative. So it's very nice to see and talk to you. I really appreciate the fact that you have gone through different levels of the system in terms of having experienced hybrid classes, having been overseas, now being domestic, now having gotten that picture. So you have done a really good job about telling us how you would represent your experiences and perspectives. What are some ways that you would engage to represent the broad grad student perspective, and how would you get input from others in terms of representing and making decisions about how we move forward, as you say, and how we sort of approach the future in an ambitious way?
I really feel that technology is the tool. So it's not, obviously there's no networking on campus. So either, sending out pollings or, the emails, reading and sending and receiving, and just really listening. And I really believe that across the social media, it's an opportunity to engage with people in a way that they want to be engaged with. So making sure that, whatever message or question that you have is sent out in multiple mediums to be able to receive it from different people in different ways, and kind of being accepting of, different ways that people want to communicate. It's a little repetitive, but.
Anyone else? All right. Well, Laura, do you have anything else you want to add before we go on?
Thanks for let me speak and listening. And I, regardless of the outcome of this election, I took out a bunch of notes today. So I hope to be seeing you guys on some committees later. I'll be back. Yeah.
Thanks, Laura. And thank you. You really have been jumping in right in today the whole time. So that's been awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. This is the part that might be a little tricksy. We're going to shift from Laura.
Okay, I'm moving Laura and bringing Drew over. That's the plan? All right, let's try this. Laura's going over. That's easy.
I would also suggest, Annie, if folks have questions, just in case you don't get a chance to like unmute yourself in time, maybe pop it into the chat and we can present it as well.
100%. Great point.
Give me a second. I got Laura out, but I can't get Drew back. Okay, we found that Drew had a button to leave, so he left on his own, and we hope he's being beamed over. There he is, connecting audio.
Yeah, I left the room, but kicked me out of
There you
everything.
Like,
all right.
All right. Drew, you're up.
Okay, well, USMSC, thank you for having me today. I'm Drew Needham. I'm a third-year law student at the University of Maryland, Baltimore, pursuing dual certificates in intellectual property law and health law. But my coursework is pretty broad, including electives in legislative law, the law and policy of emergency public health response, and a lot of other topics that tend to come up as quite important in our, our current issues with the USMSC and as a community. So yeah, I'm quite interested in the VP of Graduate Affairs position. I was student regent last year, so I've been involved with USMSC since my appointment. My term didn't start until July, but just to get the ball rolling and shorten that learning curve, I started to attend meetings in about March or so. So I've been with USMSC for about a year and a half now, if not as a ex officio or even a non-ex officio member. I've been involved with it for a while. I was also on the University Student Government Association as a senator representing the School of Law at UMB for our university-wide student government. And I've been affiliated with the University System of Maryland for a little over 11 years. I started at University of Maryland Park as a freshman in 2009. And I worked for I graduated in 2013. And then I worked for the university for a number of years before going to UMB for grad school. So I kind of have the undergrad, faculty, staff, and also student athlete background, now the graduate background. So I've kind of done a lot, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much, Drew. And Drew has been great over the past couple years and was our regent last year, which was awesome. So it's awesome to see him coming out for this position. Who has a question for Drew?
Annie, I think there's a question in the chat.
Oh, thank you, Niv. Okay.
Oh, sorry, I see that now. I thought it was just a connection
see it?
thing. So I'll read the question. On many campuses, it is difficult to connect with grad students who have professional and other life requirements. How would you support that connection and engagement with grad students across campuses? So this is something that I actually wrote about in the former something. Sorry, I'm getting so dark. I don't know why my lighting is going so dark. So I think that this is an issue even without COVID going on. A lot of graduates, so we're seeing students in general, higher education students in general, shifting from what you think of as the traditional student with maybe minimal obligations outside their own life. And we're seeing it now, especially with graduate students. A lot of these students, myself included, I'm married. I have a lot of responsibilities for that. And then, I also help to with my and her kids at times. So it's difficult to, there's definitely a lot of times where other people are going out to more social events when, we have family obligations that come up. So I think what we need to do is implement means by which we can, I feel like it never works quite well when you force people to hang out together, but if we have opportunities, especially if we have limited funds, with everything being virtual, we're not limited geographically to our campuses. So if we can pool our resources and contribute to, maybe some sort of, arts show or some sort of musical or an open mic, something like that, that people can still engage and show off, we'd really be able to, I think, get a lot more done in this virtual environment. And so I think having opportunities available and not forcing people to hang out together, but having a diverse array of options so that people with similar interests can meet up together. It's a great way to just kind of get that interaction.
All right, I made sure to check the chat first this time. Does anyone else have a question?
Hi, yes, absolutely have another question. And please, everybody else, feel free to chime in. But Drew, I wonder, having sat through the meeting thus far, having participated beforehand, when you look at that agenda of those priorities related to COVID-19, diversity and inclusion, civic engagement, number one, what stands out to you most? And then how specifically do you think you would connect that to the grad student population?
Well, thank you. That's a great question. I think all of them are of relatively equal importance, but in different ways. I think that if I want to be pragmatic about it, I think the biggest issue that's going to be facing our graduate students is actually their role as a graduate student. So everyone has life issues generally, but I think we need to prioritize and make sure that we don't have, I've seen far too many people in the law school or in other programs, especially with COVID, that have had to in some way put their education as a secondary priority, whether that be taking a semester off or taking fewer classes. There's a lot of people who have, it's not as feasible now because they don't have access to childcare, or they don't have, they lost their second job that was helping to supplement their income. So I think that prioritizing access and continuing that momentum, because the worst thing that we can have are people that are a semester or a year away and they've taken on all of this debt, and then they're not actually graduating and getting that degree. So I think making sure that we're accommodating so that these students can actually do what they came to school, accomplish what they came to school for, which is to receive that education, and so that they can go and pursue new opportunities in their life. But obviously all of those issues are important, but I think that ensuring the access would be something that has always been, even before COVID, something that I've felt was very important.
That's awesome. Follow-up question, if you don't mind. So it sounds like a lot of what you're talking about is matriculation and also equity. So knowing that you have a history with an involvement so far, what have you actually done to support and advance those issues prior to this meeting?
So one of the things that I, as student regent, brought up a lot of times, so when there would be something I noticed when I was at College Park, both as an undergrad and then as a member of the faculty or staff and then faculty as a researcher, was everything, whenever there would be a new building being put in, they seemed to forget that we're limited in space. So every time they did that, it usually went where there was a parking lot once. And so it then became that there was a limited ability for commuting students to actually get to the campus. And so when the Board of Regents would go to approve a potential plan, one thing I would always bring up is, well, how are we actually going to ensure that, it's great to have an amazing campus, but how are people actually going to be able to get to that campus? And so, with that, you have things like the purple line that's being put in at College Park. So just making sure that, number one, when you put in the purple line, you are now putting it's increasing accessibility, but also dividing that campus and making it, a little bit more difficult to walk around. Or like I found a lot of times people forget these campuses are places of business as well as places of learning. And so, we would be trying to drop off samples on campus, and if you hit it at the wrong part of the hour when classes are out, it just stops. You can't drive, you can't do anything. And so making sure that we are balancing the needs of our students as well as balancing the needs of our faculty and staff to have a workplace that is accessible to them.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Does anyone else have a question for Drew? All
Hi,
right.
this is Ashley from
Hey.
UMGC. Hi.
What's your question, Ashley?
Hi, Drew. If you could make like an improvement to the online, like, because I'm assuming you've taken like online classes or have to now, what type of improvement would you make to like the platform that you guys have been using?
So one of the things that we actually have done in a few of my classes, so the school originally only authorized like Blackboard Collaborate through Blackboard. And I had the issue specifically. So I'm in my office in our house. It is the farthest room from the Wi-Fi router. And Blackboard Collaborate, for whatever reason, just devours bandwidth. And so I had to basically, anytime I had class and we were doing a video class, I'd have to move to the kitchen, and so Zoom, I have no issue with. It just is, I don't know, I'm not a tech guy, so I don't know what it is, but making sure that, because once I said something, I was like, hey, the teacher was like, do we want to continue with Blackboard Collaborate? Do we want to do Zoom? What do we want to do? I was like, hey, this is an issue I'm having. And as soon as I said that, 3 other students in my class were like, yeah, if we can move to Zoom, it's gonna make everything flow a lot better. So that was one thing that we did to improve. Now that's pretty standardized. Another thing that we're doing is that, so previously, especially in the law, we had set office hours. My schedule is a little bit all over the place, just because the demand for some of the more popular courses. So I have a lot of evening classes and I have a lot of other things that conflict during the day. So I actually am not available for a lot of those office hours times, because it's only once a week for 1 or 2 hours. The difficulty is a lot of times we used to just pop into a professor's office. It might not be their official office hours, but if they're there, you just pop in. You can't do that. You have to do a whole, now if you have a question, even if it's a 1-minute question, you have to set up a whole, a whole time for both of you to meet and be able to talk about this one issue. So one of the things that we did was in one of my classes, the professor just gave a broad availability time, right? And he was like, yes, I will be guaranteed to be available at this time every week. These are my set office hours as mandated. But look, from here to here and here to here and here to here, just send me an email and we can find a time. So he's not guaranteed to be in that. I guess he doesn't have to guarantee that time available, but this is I'm generally available during this time. Sending me an email with a few days notice. And it's more of a pop-in now. So it's made it more accessible because it's so difficult to even have to like ask a question in class, because you raise your hand and you do it either like this, or you do it through Zoom. And a lot of times by the time the professor realizes, it's 10 minutes have gone by and your question is like so unrelated to what you're talking about. So one of the things we did was just making sure that the professors are, I guess, Zoom and being does allow you to access each other. It does, how should I phrase this? It allows you to access each other more easily, but at the same time, it makes it a little bit more awkward and there's more hurdles to jump through when you just have a quick question. So kind of breaking down some of those barriers and just kind of, taking a step out of it and just saying, hey, come and talk to me whenever you want during these times.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thanks for that question, Ashley. Thanks, Drew. Anybody else? Any questions? All right, those are great questions, though.
Yeah, and I did have one more thing just to some of the one issue that wasn't on the issues facing grad students is an issue that if selected to this position, I'd want to work closely with the USMSC and our Director of Government Affairs and all of these people to advance is some of our professional students, especially law students, are facing the issue of not being able to practice. The students that just graduated from law school haven't been able to take the Maryland bar. And so something that we can work with the legislature is creating some sort of, diploma privileges, limited ability to practice, because otherwise a lot of these individuals are, severely limited because they're no longer a law student and can't practice under Maryland Rule, I think 19-220, which allows law students to practice under the legal supervision of a licensed attorney. They're now no longer students, and most of them are not trying to practice privately, but it just creates a lot of issues. And so making sure that we are advancing not just current graduates, but the recent graduate students, I think is something to keep in mind, so that we're not just saying, okay, you're not a student anymore. We're not gonna, you're not our problem, but making sure that we stay in touch is something, because I don't know how other professions or other professional or graduate students are doing, but I'm not sure if they're offering the licensing exams for pharmacists or anything during all of this. But I know the bar is much stricter and only offered in very controlled environments. So.
Thanks, Drew. That is a really important group, the graduates that just graduated. Yeah. Do not forget about them.
Exactly.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I think everything's in my application materials. If you have any questions, feel free to call me back in or email me or anything like that if something comes up later. So
totally.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, see you soon. All right.
Okay, I'm going to move them back, and I'm getting better at this, y'all. Give me a second.
You got it, Zakita. You're doing great.
All right, he's going to go. I'm going to go and then get Matt. All right, Matt is on his way.
Hello.
Oh, there he is. Great. Hey, Matt.
Hello.
All right, Annie, you're on.
Okay, well, I'm just on to say, welcome, Matt. Thank you for running for the vice president position. And please use, 5 minutes or less to describe who you are and why you think you're a good fit for this position to the council.
Okay, great. Originally, I think we talked about 3 minutes, so hopefully I'll be able to fill up the 3 minutes and then we can look at 5. But okay, so I did want to thank everyone for this opportunity. I was really excited to see the email about the position and just about this group altogether come through. And one of the things that really stood out for me was I guess over the summer, UMGC made some changes to kind of the start times of classes, length of classes. And it was a system-wide, well, maybe not system-wide for University of Maryland, but for UMGC in regard to their classes. And, I felt like I had some feedback to provide for that. And I made some calls. I've tried to channel that information up, and I didn't really have any luck with that. I didn't know who to go to or where to go, or just really how to provide that information that I thought was beneficial and that I wasn't sure whether or not anybody had heard before. So when I saw that the vice president position was coming up, and I think it was actually the representative position, is what the email was about. I thought it would be a great way to be able to work with the students at UMGC to channel that information and really share with everybody. So when the vice president part came up, looking at it as a whole of the University of Maryland system, I just thought it was a great opportunity that I would be able to use my facilitation skills and some of the leadership skills I've learned over my time working in, I worked in restaurants for about 20 years as a manager, general manager, and currently as a human resources manager for a security company. And some of those leadership style, the main leadership style that I have is being a servant leader, where I can take charge and do things, but for the most part, it's about taking information that I'm giving and about whether it's the team or the employees or fellow students, and making sure that their voices are heard and really communicating that information and communicating it in a way that is relevant and can either get some traction, and ultimately to make the currently my employees or other students feel heard, and also let them know that you might not get what you want and you might not be able to see all the changes that you want take place, but know that they're being considered and that they're looked at. So let's see. I think that was the most of it. Again, I want to thank everybody for your time. I watched the YouTube video from the August meeting, and that I learned quite a bit of things from that. The civic engagement when Joe was talking about that. This time when we're talking about diversity and inclusion, when Zakia was talking about using taking that information to the presidents, and it doesn't just fall on the students, but the leadership really needs to understand and know what the students are thinking, so that way they can take charge and they can make these changes kind of from the top down. So and I'm looking forward to, even if I'm not selected, still participating and taking part in the future meetings and do what I can to assist and learn and continue to develop, working with the students and working with all of you all. So again, I appreciate your time and I thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt. It's great to have you as a part of our community in whatever capacity that ends up being. For this role, what questions do folks have for Matt?
Hi, Matt. Hi, it's Ashley from UMGC. What do you think needs to be improved on as far as like diversity and inclusion?
I think what needs to be improved on is listening skills from all parties, because everybody has an opinion, and I don't feel as though everybody takes the time to really listen and see the other points of view. And that's from, you know, both sides. But it takes honest, open feedback, or honest, open discussion and dialogue. And that's what I've seen a lot of at the college level. You know, when I went to University of Baltimore, you know, I did one in-person class there. Community colleges, I did in-person classes, but a lot of them have been online. So, you know, having that, being free to share your opinions and being free to share your thoughts and emotions and really what everyone's going through is really important. So to come back to answer your question, I think the listening and really understanding points of view from people.
Thank you.
Who else?
Hi, Matt. I have a question for you. You mentioned earlier that your leadership style is servant leadership style. So my question is, how do you think that will help you or assist you as far as if you get the vice president's role?
Thank you. I think that will help, because especially as I was reading through the duties and responsibilities of the vice president, while you have to have some direction and some leadership with that, you know, it's really about gathering information from everyone else and being able to have everyone feel comfortable to share ideas and to channel that information through. So the vice president role isn't necessarily something where you have to go in, and it doesn't seem like you have to go in and take charge and be the main person doing everything. But you've got to be able to create those ideas, or not create the ideas. You have to be able to pull those ideas out of the different people that are participating, and making sure that they feel comfortable to share those ideas. So, you know, being that servant leader is knowing that it's not about me, it's about the students and the students' success ultimately.
Hello, Matthew. I want to ask a quick question. So from your experience as a student leader, what is one thing that you have done that you believe had a very good impact on student experiences? Because you emphasize that for you, it's very important to represent other students and do things for them. So I want to know, what is one specific thing that you have done that has really impacted students in a positive way?
I'd like to say that the most positive impact I've had on students isn't actually at the college. It's in my professional career. Working in the restaurant industry, I started out working for Ruby Tuesday, where I worked for them for 10 years. And I worked with a lot of college students there. As I transitioned and went to work for Panera Bread for 10 years, I worked with a lot of high school students and a lot of college students at the different cafes that I worked at. So I would say that kind of the encouragement that I gave my employees and gave them some of my real world experiences as someone who started in college and had to take a break for 10 years and went back when I wanted to, you know, be a good example for my kids and say, hey, look, you know, when you're younger, try to get it done when you're younger. So that way, you know, as you're raising your family and you're doing all these other things, you're not really, you can concentrate more when you're younger with it. But as you do get older, you have opportunities to go to school and to do these things. So, you know, I really tried to share my personal experiences and some of the challenges that I faced when I was younger and assisted them. And one of the things that a lot of, you know, especially high school students don't necessarily think about is how interacting with the public can benefit you in the future. So, you know, I can think of some specific times where I would, whether it was with a hostess or a waiter or a cashier, and I said, do you know how many people you've talked to? And we worked it out. And, you know, by the time they work for a restaurant or something for a year or two, they've talked to thousands of people and just strangers that they've interacted with. And, you know, helping them realize that that's something that they can take and use for the rest of their lives, whether it's applying for colleges or applying for a job. So yeah, so I guess I'd go back to my time in the restaurant industry, where I really worked with students and encouraged them and given them advice along the way.
Thank you so much. Does anyone else have a question?
Oh, and Annie, one thing I forgot to add, you know, I'm talking to Drew in the room over there, you know, and I think Neve was talking to the University of Maryland in Baltimore. I graduated from the University of Baltimore. I actually work right up the street from there now, about a block or two away. And I went to lunch down at Nando's and on Baltimore Street, and I realized how close a lot of the other University of Maryland campuses are right in Baltimore. And you know, I'm from the PG County area, so and I live in Carroll County now. So you know, kind of being central to some of these colleges, I've had a lot of friends and family that have gone to University of Maryland colleges. So it does mean a lot that to me that I'd be able to work so closely with the students at these. And I have my nephew's actually at Salisbury right now, so you know, trying to get him involved in some stuff, and I think it'd be cool.
That is pretty cool, Matt. And I think I saw Beth unmuting a second ago. So I'm gonna before I miss her, Beth, what was your question?
Yeah, I just dropped it in the chat really quick. And it's just a general question, having sat through the meeting now, having seen that agenda of the different priorities for the year, you know, talking about COVID-19, diversity and inclusion, all these different elements, what resonates most with you from those topics that you've heard about, and what interventions were you considering for those if you were to assume this role?
So that's a good question. I went back, you know, I went back through my notes and when we did the Google survey about what we wanted to do, and the three areas that I discussed in there was COVID safety, student challenges that we're facing with COVID, and then diversity and inclusion. So, you know, with the COVID safety and the student challenges, I don't know if you guys if everyone can hear my dog barking in the background. We have a new puppy, but you know, being able to discuss these things and understand that, you know, being able to be flexible, being able to work with your teachers as somebody who's on numerous occasions had to talk to their professor and send an email and say, hey, I know I have my papers due tonight, but I ended up working till 8 o'clock. We had a COVID outbreak, and I've never had to do this before, and we've had to do all these different things. So being able to do that, and then, you know, the diversity and inclusion is important now too, because there's a lot of stuff going on in our country right now. And again, being able to have an outlet and being able to have to lend an ear, to be able to listen and really do what we can to affect change in our university system, I think is important. So to answer your question, I don't know how I would get all of those things done or what I would be able to do, but I think, you know, using the experience of the members of this group and, you know, with Joe and Zakia, using their experiences, I'm not afraid to ask questions, and I'm not afraid to get answers, no matter who those questions and answer who those questions are going to. So I think that's where the channeling of that information would be very beneficial, and what I would what I would be able to do to assist with those things.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for great questions. Matt, do you have any closing thoughts you want to share before we head into the next person?
No, I don't think so. Again, I appreciate everybody's time, and I look forward to future meetings and whatever role that'll be.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Matt.
All right, thank you.
All right. I'm on my job. 1 second.
And then the next person is a statement that I'll read to you all on behalf of Justin.
Give me 1 second. Okay. Matt assigned to, okay. Matt should be.
Oh, you did it. Well done. Look at you. I
Getting
need
good at
more
this.
skills from you at some point. This is awesome. All right. So unfortunately, Justin really wanted to be here today, Justin Jarman. He is unable to be here with us today due to illness, but he did supply a written statement, which I will now share with all of you. Okay. Dear UMSC members, hello, I am Justin Jarman, a graduate student in data analytics at UMGC. I am very excited to be running for the position of Vice President for the Graduate Student Affairs. I was born in Birmingham, Alabama, and have lived in Maryland since December of 2019. I attended Faulkner University for my bachelor's in business administration, and over the past few months that I have attended this university, I have seen firsthand graduate students make a great strides in terms of progression. My desire to continue this upward trend and work with the brilliant minds of our council to make the graduate student experience as fulfilling as it can be is the main reason I am interested in serving in this position. I have a plethora of leadership and service experience and enjoy the responsibilities that come with these positions. I currently serve as the Director of Worship at Southern Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. Some of my past experiences include managing a team of claims analysts, being the platoon guide in the Army, ambassador for new employees at Care First, and many more. As VP, I have a few goals I would like to accomplish in the upcoming year. I am sharing my background with you for a number of reasons. The first of which is that in all of my roles, effective communication is the most important aspect of my journey. I also prioritize transparency in both my professional and personal life. As VP of Graduate Affairs, I will ensure that students are not only aware of USMSC, but understand why both entities pursue certain paths. Lastly, I have a wide array of experiences that add to my diverse knowledge of people, academic backgrounds, and professionalism. With that said, I hope that you will envision me not only as your VP, but as a peer and as a friend who represents you as students. I will work diligently to ensure a flawless transition from the current VP of Graduate Affairs, and I will positively contribute to this council. Thank you, Justin. So that's Justin's. I'm sorry you can't ask Justin questions, but that's Justin's statement for all of you. All right. So with that, we get into the slightly more tricksy part of this process. For our deliberations and voting, we need to move into a closed session, one, and then voting must be secret. So, and every institution gets one vote, just to really make everything very complex. So first we'll go ahead and we'll move into closed session for deliberations, and then we'll discuss more about what that voting will look like.
Okay, Zakia, this is Joe. Do you want to move me out when they go into executive session?
And
do
Fred
I
is asking a good question? Yes, we need to cut off the live stream. That's one part of it. Yes, Fred, thank you very much. And Annie, we did this so rarely that I think, you know, Joe and I can go, or if you're fine with us staying just to be here in an advisory capacity, we can do that. But the folks who really need to be out are out, and those are your candidates.
Yeah.
So let us know what you want to do, and we'll make it work.
And Annie, I'll do whatever you want me to do as well, since I'm ex officio here as well. I'll follow whatever you want with Joe and Zakia. I will do whatever you think is right.
I think in this particular closed section, I think it's fine for the three of you to be here. If anyone on the call has a problem with that, I appreciate your concern. Feel free to chat me ASAP. If you wish to remain anonymous with your concern, I'll give you 20 seconds to do that if you have a concern you
Yes,
wish
and
to.
also during these 20 seconds, I think we want to make sure, because I see on my screen that the live stream is happening, and I've